Because
players are now dead to dead to it.
If I'm remembering right.
no, because they've already had a surgery.
Yep.
Yes, that's tied in.
That's going to be clear.
This is what's going to be involved.
If we have a quarterback with it.
Salary.
We got a choice of 6 now. So.
No, this was the new contract
Good evening, everyone. It's 6:30. We'll start this Marion City Council regular meeting. Call to order, please.
Mr. Barr?
Present.
Mr. Ratliff?
Present.
Mr. Schauber?
Here.
Ms. Lang?
Here,
Mr. T. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Prater?
Present.
Mr. R. Smith?
Present.
Mr. Rollins?
Present.
Mr. Neff?
Here.
Mrs. Stoneburner?
Present. We'll begin with an invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. If I have Mr. Jeff Bush, Pastor Jeff Bush. I don't see him. So I might need a volunteer to lead us in an invocation.
I will.
All right. Mr. Prater, thank you.
Dear Lord, we come to you tonight as we about to have this city council meeting to decide things for the future of Marion, Ohio. What would be best, what would not be best. We just pray that your presence would be with us tonight. God, that we would discuss things in a peaceful, orderly way, and that things would get worked out for the best for the city. We thank you for the blessings that you have given all of us that we may not even be aware of, and we just pray, Lord Jesus, that your peace would come upon this city, this state, and this nation, and this world. Amen.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Since tonight we have so many public hearings, I just want to remind everyone that we need to just have one person speaking at a time, and that includes people, in the public in front of us, and also, well, that would be, phones. If you'll silence your phones, you don't have that problem. Thank you. Okay, start with the summary proceedings. Mr. T. Smith?
Make a motion we approve the summary proceedings.
Motion to approve and a second from Ms. Lang?
I have a correction.
Okay. Do I have a second from anybody then?
Can we make a correction?
Let's do that, yeah.
Page 5, line 10, the first 2023 should say 2022.
I've talked to the clerk about some other clerical errors, so.
That's the only correction I saw.
Did you have other errors?
I had some things like monies that came out looking strange and some
If you,
homophones.
if you have talked to the clerk about some changes that need to be made, I would suggest that we let those be made and let these ride and just pass a double set at the next meeting.
Can do that.
That way, those can be made and.
Okay. So, Mr. Smith, do you want to withdraw that?
Sure, I will withdraw mine.
Okay. Thank you.
But for the future, are clerical errors
I
really
was gonna say.
necessary to hold up?
It depends on what they are. I mean, and I don't know, so.
Understood. All right, thank you.
All right, old business, item number 1, ordinance 2025-032, Evans Road vacation.
Ordinance vacating part of a public alley 13 feet in width along the east and south sides of Lot 8867 in the Osgood addition of the City of Marion, as recorded in Plat Book 3, page 104, Marion County, State of Ohio, and retaining permanent easement rights.
Mr. Barr, this comes from your committee, Streets and Sewers.
Yep, it come out of planning commission with an 8-0 recommendation, 2-0 recommendation to approve from the streets and sewers. I have nothing to add. If there's any questions, the applicant is here. Everybody over there is satisfied with the agreement they've come to. I believe the city's satisfied.
Okay. Then we'll go ahead and, this is our third reading, and we'll go ahead and open the public hearing at 6:35. Any questions or remarks from anyone else on council or from the public? Hearing none, we'll close the public meeting, also at 6:35. Wish of the council?
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve and a second from Mr. T. Smith.
Yes, please.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Mr. Schauber?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Knapp?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Item number 2, ordinance 2025-008, commercial district changes to code.
Yes.
Hold on.
Go
Hold
ahead.
on, yeah, it's got to be that.
Ordinance amending zoning code, sections 1143.012, use regulations in the C2 community shopping district, pyramiding into the C3, C4, and C5 commercial districts to include adult use cannabis dispensaries, recreational marijuana sales.
All right, this here comes out of the Zoning and Annexation Committee with a 3-0 recommendation to approve. This is the third reading. We also have, I have no other comments on this myself, but we can open now to a public hearing.
Yep. At 6:37. Any concerns or questions from the public? Or anyone else on council? Hearing none. And move along. Mr. R. Smith?
Make a motion to approve.
A motion to approve from Mr. R. Smith and a second from Mr. Prater.
Yes.
All right.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Mr. Schauber?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Knapp?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Takes us to item number 3, ordinance 2025-009, ordinance amending zone code R3 in commercial districts for recovery housing.
Ordinance amending existing Marion City Code 1137.011, use regulation in the R3 multifamily district and section 1143.0123A2C3, central core, and 1143.014AC-4 central frame district, business districts to address recovery housing.
Mr. Prater?
Yes, this here comes out of the Zoning and Annexation Committee. There was a 3-0 recommendation to approve. This is the third reading. I myself don't have anything else to add to this. And if it's okay, we could have our public hearing.
6:38. Public hearing is open. For discussion or questions? All right, hearing none. We'll move along. Mr. Rollins.
Motion to approve.
Mr. Rollins has motion to approve, and Mr. Prater the second.
Yep.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Mr. Schauber?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously again. Item number 4, ordinance 2025-010 to amend zoning, new definitions, 2025.
Ordinance amending zoning code 1123.01, definitions to add definitions for opioid treatment programs, office-based opioid treatment programs, recovery housing levels 1 through 3, recreational and/or use cannabis, and recreational use, adult use cannabis dispensaries.
All right, this also comes out of the Zoning and Annexation Committee with a 3-0 recommendation to approve. And this is the third reading. And I myself have nothing else to add to this. And
Okay, I'm going to move you on into the public hearing at 6:40. Any questions or concerns from the public? Anything else from council? All right, hearing none. 6:40. Mr. Rollins?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. And Mr. R. Smith, I saw your hand first. You have the second? All righty.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Mr. Schauber?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
yes,
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Ordinance 2025-010. Next item is item 5, ordinance 2025-015.
Bless you.
Ordinance to amend zoning, existing definitions.
Ordinance amending the zoning code, section 1123.01, definitions to update definitions of family and tourist home.
Mr. Prater.
yes. This started out with city planning, and then it went to the Zoning and Annexation Committee with a 3-0 recommendation to approve, and this is the third reading. I myself have nothing to add to this, and we can go on.
6:41, we'll mark that the beginning of a public hearing. Any questions or statements from the public? Okay, hearing none. 6:42. Mr. R. Smith,
Move to approve, please.
a motion to approve.
Second.
And a second from Mr. T. Smith. Are you ready?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Mr. Schauber?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes,
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Ordinance is approved unanimously. Item number 6, ordinance 2025-036, office institutional changes to code 2025, ordinance for opioid treatment.
Ordinance amending zoning code 1139.01, use regulations in OI and institutional district to include opioid treatment programs and office-based opioid treatment facilities.
all right.
Right?
Yes, this started out in city planning, and then moved on to Zoning and Annexation Committee with a 3-0 recommendation to approve. This is the third reading, and I have myself at this time have nothing to add.
Mr. Neff?
Oh, Mr. Neff?
Yeah, first of all, I'm apologize for being late to the game on this. I kind of sat back and didn't say a whole lot, partially because I live in an OI district. My home is in an OI district. I've waited till maybe today to talk to my neighbors, and I've spoken with 4 neighbors who all don't understand why we would want to add this to the OI district. If I could ask Evelyn if she could just describe the physical boundaries of that OI district that I'm referring to on East Center Street. But specifically, there are a few OI districts in the city of Marion, and some of them seem to be suited for this. I'm not sure that the specific OI district that I'm referring to would. It's about a 3-block swath on East Center Street. And of those, there's maybe, I don't know, 30 homes there. The majority of those are single-family homes. The majority of those are owner-occupied homes with a few rentals sprinkled in and out of it.
So, Evelyn Moore on this regional planning. What I'm going to pass around here, I guess I'll take it back to City Planning Commission. We did have 2 different meetings on it because the first one, our thought was office and institutional. We had a second meeting saying office, institutional, and apartment. Again, just trying to make sure everybody, at that, the first meeting we didn't have as many in attendance. We wanted to make sure the full board had some discussion of whether or not the opioid treatment facilities would go into any place where there was residential. In this case, it's office, institutional, apartment. It does allow for a variety of housing, including apartment. So what Mr. Neff is referring to, much of the office and institutional and office institutional apartment are kind of the area by the hospitals, you know, for example. That's kind of typically what we would think is in that office institutional apartment or office and institution. And that during our discussions at city planning, it was pretty well established that the thought that the treatment facilities are a medical, you know, treatment office, same as other medical treatments. So that's what I thought. It was something that allowed the office and institutions would be appropriate. The area which he's referring to, and you'll see this, and it will kind of come into play a little bit with a rezoning that will come in the future, but a lot of the major thoroughfares, so here is Center Street, and in particular, I think the area he's referring to is here. So a lot of the major thoroughfares, as they've changed over time, you know, and I'm going to say Center Street, Main Street, Delaware Ave, have a tendency to be a little bit of a mixed bag of actual physical uses as well as zoning districts. It might go from your downtown type of district into a more general commercial and maybe bob in and out of residential and back in, you know. I can't say why it was done that way. It was quite likely that they just followed what the main uses were at the time. Because that would make sense. So we all know there's a lot of offices that are in older, large homes, you know. So that's kind of this area in question where he feels that that sort of a maybe neighborhood-based OIA is a lot different than Marion General. So I guess the point that if you're opposed to having it in that office institutional apartment, if that makes you uncomfortable, then you may want to amend only to allow it in the office institution. If you think that it's fine the way it is, and maybe another way to handle some of the residents, particularly on Center Street, because for instance, we have a pending application that's come out of city planning to rezone something from the OIA in that very area to commercial, because they want to have commercial, because they're surrounded by other commercials on both sides of the street and to the west. That maybe city planning and council should take a look at actually amending the map in that section and see if it's a bunch of single family homes, maybe it should just be rezoned to something that's single family, you know. So again, those are different options, but right now the way this ordinance is written, it would allow them in both types of zones. And you're welcome to take a look if you can see colors, it's kind of
So Evelyn, I'm sorry, go ahead,
Oh.
I'm sorry.
So could we pass this as it is and then capture that 30 or so families and rezone that? And that won't jeopardize anything. I'm sure the period between now and when we get that rezoned, someone could theoretically move in with a treatment, but we can protect those, that group of people. Okay.
Mr. Net?
But just as well, we could vote it down and have it come back to council.
If it was completely voted down. Because since this is something that came out of city planning, then you need, two-thirds to.
It's either 2/3 or 3/4.
Whatever it is, whatever your vote because this is a text amendment, whereas what we're talking about on that strip would be a map.
Right, and I do apologize honestly for
No, that's
springing this on
okay.
you. Literally 10, 15 minutes before the meeting, I
That's
do
okay.
apologize.
As what I'm going
But
through.
the boundaries of this, the specific OI zone that I'm referring to, on the east end would be the Marathon gas station. And this zone is on both sides of Center Street. So that, would it stop to the south at Church Street? Would that be the whole block?
We
I can
take a
barely,
look.
I can't, I can
In that, I
barely.
believe.
And I tried to
Church-
use GIS today and
Yeah, I
it wasn't
apologize.
working.
I think Church Street also has a lot of those. It weaves in and out the same on both sides of that, from Center to Church, because both of those major corridors, they vary slightly, so I'll show you here. Sorry, and this, the only way to get it all on one map is at this scale. But, so this is Center Street, and then this is Church Street. So they tend to be, they bound from Center to Huber, or wherever the railroad tracks is here, kind of. And then here's Center, right at dead center, is kind of the way that. So you see that all the major corridors, the same kind of happens here on Main Street. Is you get them hugging both sides of the main thoroughfare, go about one block in, and then they start to change. So this one would be, I think, Church, and that would be Center, and then here's maybe Huber or Woodward.
Mr. T. Smith?
Evelyn, if you don't mind, could this potentially be amended so that the OI is conditional use in the OI district?
Oh, that's a good idea. You could.
Okay. I'm not sure how everybody else would feel about that.
That way it has to go to the Board of Appeals, and then each opportunity you get to, the city planning would look at it. That way, if that area is like more of this, where it's maybe a little more single family versus behind Smith Clinic, that gives you a chance to look.
Mr. Neff?
It still just seems to me like the different OI zones in the city are not equal. This zone is a very different makeup than the zone in the south part of town. And, I can speak that I personally have lived in that block in this zone for 50 years. I've lived there for 50 years. Right now, there's one business that operates in that zone, and they're a hearing center, a doctor. I'm going to say 10, 20 years ago, there was almost next door to me, there was a psychiatric office. And then down to the west a block, there was an insurance agent that was there for some time, and that whole strip of those 3 blocks, I don't know that there's ever been more than one business operating in that particular zone. Before I was born, in the 1940s and 50s, the home that I lived in next door had a doctor's office in the basement. But it just seems to me like these zones aren't equal. I mean, this
Because it's a little more
OI
neighborhood
zone and the
scale.
other OI zone are not equal. And I do apologize for bringing this up at this late moment.
Okay, well, 6:53, we do have a public hearing for other commentary.
Amy Craig, 365 Silver Street. I believe the reason we're trying to clean up some of this language is because we're facing litigation right now over rehab, or I don't know what we're calling them, treatment facility. Is that correct?
This,
Sort of, yeah. Like, we're trying to get rid of one and they're trying to get us for unfair housing or something like that.
Mr. Shaw?
if I am recalling correctly, this cleans up language for the Church Street
Yes.
location.
Because I know we were trying to work on the houses too,
Yes,
so
yeah.
I don't know which one is
And
which.
that was dealt with in the definitions
Yes.
that we passed previously.
Okay. My thought is that this has been ongoing since February, and Mr. Neff, you really did have a chance to talk to your neighbors before now. And if your neighbors were terribly concerned about it, I think that they would be up here tonight.
I would just urge council to turn this down. I mean, that's just my opinion. I'm one vote, so that's all I have.
Ms. Lang?
Can we amend it to conditional, like Mr. Smith?
Question.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
We would have to come back around for another public meeting, right?
Right.
And another,
Does that mean you have to start again as?
It would be amended, so it would be a
it would be
first-
amended, so this would be the
Yeah.
first reading, yeah.
So I guess the question is sending it back or amending it and taking it back to a first read.
Or you could pass it.
Or pass it.
Mr. Ratliff, sorry.
So just, if you don't mind, just trying to understand where everybody's coming from. When you say that that they're not equal, I guess I don't understand if you can tell me where the other ones are that you think are better.
The one that's completely different would be the Crescent Heights area, the south part of town behind Smith Clinic. That whole Crescent Heights Road is also an OI. So back there, there's multifamily, there's office buildings, there's apartment buildings. To me, it's a totally, they seem to be totally different zones to me, if you follow what I'm saying.
In,
There's a
in
laundromat.
my, I don't know, way of thinking about it, if I were to drive on Crescent Heights, although it seems to be primarily apartments, it's much higher residential percentage than driving down Center Street. And on Center Street, I think of, gas stations and flower shops and, and I don't even think of it being like a hugely residential area. I think of, and, I don't know what the exact count is, but I think center of more business than I do residential. So I don't, so I'm asking you to just help me understand.
Yeah, well, this would be the zone between what you're thinking about as business, so it would almost boundary on the one end with the auto zone and the drive-through, and then if you head east from there, you'll run into a pocket of three blocks of residential, then you'll come to the gas station, there's a Marathon station, there's a church on the other side of the street. And once you pass Fahey Bank, there might be one or two businesses on the north side, but that's almost all residential as well, out to the city limit.
We have another
But there's a pocket of residential there.
question or comment from public.
And like I said, I've only lived there for 50-some years on that street.
Hi, Kelly Haynes, 160 Sharpless Court. My mother has owned a home there in the same area for, how long was it, Mr. Walker? It's been a while, right? That she owned that house there. It was taken from me. Unfortunately, I lost the home. I think that was about the time Marion City Police attached the man's name to my name, and I wasn't able to be employed, and I lost the house. Anyways, back to what we're talking about here. It sounds to me like what we're saying is basically not my neighborhood. With what's going on in our community, we can't have that mind frame, okay? Out at Crescent Heights, that area is predominantly hood. right? And so we don't want it in our neighborhood either, but it's what's going on in our community. So you gotta deal with it. You've been through enough readings, you had your opportunity. Can we pass this and move on? I think it's needed. That was the time.
Once again, I've stated my position. I have nothing further to say. I've just urged council to disapprove this. And I apologize for the late notice.
Thank you. Anything else from the public? And the public hearing at 6:59.
And
Ms.
just,
Ratliff?
and I just want to make sure this is for an office. So it's not for housing, it's not, it's for,
In-office treatment.
okay. So, I mean, so it wouldn't, other than the stigma of what it is, I don't see the difference. You said you had you've had a I think you said a dentist, you've had an insurance agent, you've had a counseling center.
Over the course of 50 years, there's maybe been one business active in that zone. And even going back before I lived there, there was a foot doctor there, but that's not a business. I don't see that as a business district. And if you speak to the residents of the street, they don't see it that way either. That's, once I said, this is my opinion, and I apologize I came with this late, but I'm the one who has to go back, and the neighbors are gonna call me and say, hey, what's going on? And that's where I'm at. I didn't
Okay.
speak to all the neighbors, but everyone was resounding in the fact that they did not feel that this was the right thing to do. And just to expand on that more, I know there's talk of changing that whole 3-block section to just a C district, and all of my neighbors are against that as well. And just between now and whenever that comes up, I guess I gotta get out and talk to more of my neighbors. So, thank you.
Mr. Schauber?
Yeah, if I'm looking at the right little island of OIA, there is 3 blocks that abuts a R2 district. So we could pass this as is and then immediately come back and fix that zoning. And I'm comfortable and confident that we can get that done and protect those residential homes.
But, Mr. Sharp, I'm not sure what zoning we would amend it to.
R2, because
We
it's,
have an existing business operating in there under the OI zoning right now, so I wouldn't want to affect that existing business.
well, I don't think it would if we would, and this is my understanding of the zoning, if we was to change it, if that business would leave, then someone could not fill in behind it. We would not be zoning them out of business.
Correct. Right, they would become a legal non-conforming use, they're allowed to stay, and then if it changes to another business, it goes to the Board of Appeals to just make sure it wasn't anything of higher magnitude than what was previously allowed there, even as OIA, if that was the case. So there are some ways for that to handle, or depending on where it is, if it has been and do something, maybe we take them out and make them something else.
Mr. Barr?
Evelyn, is this something city planning would take up to get on this to rezone that pocketed residential?
Yes, and some of that is because there's already a request in that same pocket
Okay.
for commercial. And as we started to discuss, and in fact, it's not on tonight's agenda, but it'll be coming your way through committee. But city planning could also discuss it and then take a deeper dive, kind of go really see which houses are where and, what all's in there. And so make a recommendation
So,
on addressing future rezoning.
so this potential commercial business that you're talking about would be in this pocket?
Yes, there
So then we
was
probably should be careful about,
that one as
yeah.
well. That is a request to rezone to C5, which is what, as you see, is OIA, C5, C5, a little bit of mixture, more commercial and C5 across the street from it.
Oh, Mr. Prater, and then I'll go back to Mr.
Yeah, so you're saying that we could, best thing possibly to do would be just send it back to city planning and fix everything up for that other, I think that other place was on Center Street also.
That'll have, you can't really send it back, I mean,
But
You have to deal with this case, but that'll
This-
have to be a new case.
that would be a new, but I'm saying that with this here, to amend that to like a residential area that Mr. Ness talking about, would it go back to city planning? Or can we like Mr. Shaw would say, we amend it here as a non-con,
Okay. The one thing you can amend here would be as Mr.
Conditional use.
Smith.
Yeah.
You have two Smiths here, at regional planning, we have two Thaddeus's, so I have to remember
Yeah.
from there on. But, so that's something you can amend, because again, we're talking about text right now, we're changing the code itself. So you can either say, we only want it in the OI, not the OIA. You could amend it to say, if it's going to be in the OIA, it's a conditional use, that's actually a good idea. That way, if you have those OIAs that are kind of a different character, the Board of Zoning Appeals gets to say, is this more like the hospital character, is this more like the residential? Because you might not be the only pilot of, of that. So that's what you can do now with regard to the text. In order to actually rezone some of those map changes, that'll have to be a whole new initiation. It can be initiated by city planning, so it can kind of follow behind this as swiftly as possible. But they'll still have to be two different issues.
Yeah,
Mr. T. Smith.
I do not think it would be a bad idea to amend this to be conditional use, because the OI districts, a lot of them have a lot of residential areas within them. So, with that being said, I'll make a motion to amend this ordinance to read in the OI district conditionally.
The OIA.
The OIA on conditional use.
Just one point, I think we do have to come out of the public hearing before we
Well,
can start making
We
motions.
did.
I thought we already
Already
did.
brought us out of
did.
that.
Oh, I'm
and
sorry,
we got a
I
few more
didn't write that down.
comments.
6:59.
Okay. I apologize.
No problem. Mr. Neff?
I'll second that amendment.
We have a motion and a second to amend. Mr. Ratliff?
So, I don't know, my overall feeling on this, and I think grown stronger as I've sat here, is that every time that we have any type of facility that comes, we have neighbors in that area that come and say, we don't want that here. We want it on another part of town, or another town, or out in the county, or we want it, and the bottom line is, nobody wants it there, and there's a stigma with a business like this. And the fact of the matter is, we need more of that here instead of less. And we have problems here that we need as many of these as we can get right now. And this has been zoned this way for 50 years. And it's not until this type of business, which really is just a treatment office, is allowed to be there, that people are now saying, we don't want it here. And, it got consideration from the Planning Commission, which was 5-0. It got consideration from the Zoning and Annexation Committee, which went out 3-0. And now, and I don't mean for this to come off smart aleck, and it probably will, but because we have a person that talked to 4 neighbors, we're willing to throw away the consideration of everybody that has looked at that and make everything go back to the drawing board, because 4 neighbors don't want it there. And it just, to me, it doesn't, that's gonna be every neighborhood in this entire city, and we can't start setting that precedence here.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to amend in a second.
So, just so I understand what this amendment will do, and so everyone understands what it will do, anywhere the zoning is OIA, if this treatment facility wants to do business in Marion, it will be conditional no matter where it's at. So this not in my neighborhood argument will come up every time a treatment facility wants to come in town. So, so I don't know why we would do that, especially when we're going to look at this 3-block area for another commercial use and changing the zoning to begin with. So I think we're going to complicate things, and that not my neighborhood argument will grow louder and stronger, and we just need to pass it as it is and promptly follow up with changing the zoning.
Mr. Rollins?
Yeah, completely agree. And the whole reason we're here is because of the not in my neighborhood argument. That's what led us to change the zoning to set the standards to begin with. So let's get this passed and get it over with.
Well, right now, we have a motion and a second.
If I may clarify something.
Just a second. Go ahead.
I guess I wanted Evelyn to hear this, but I have a clarification for Mr. Schaber. You said OIA. This is just OI and institutional. It does not cover office institutional apartments.
No, it does.
It does
Yeah, it
too.
does.
I thought the planning commission specifically took the apartments out.
It's
No,
in,
they put it in, at the second meeting, if you were, that was why we tabled it to the next meeting.
Okay.
And then they wanted to make sure everybody was comfortable with keeping it in OIA, and that is the way it went.
it's bold italicized letters, section I. Or L.
Which are the 30
Okay,
pages.
L. L. I don't know my alphabet. It's an L.
Yeah, it is an L.
Okay. Sorry. I was reading the top of it, and I,
Right, I think at first, that's where the first change is in OI, and then I believe it's determined up into OIA.
yeah, it's on page 6, I'm sorry. I wanted to ask since it was being discussed, because
Okay, well, before we move on to, or back to.
You have
we
a-
Yes,
You have a motion and a second on the floor.
we have a motion and a second to amend, so we need to take roll on that.
Mr. Barr,
No.
Mr. Ratliff,
No.
Mr. Schaber,
No.
Ms. Lang,
No,
Mr. T. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Prater,
No.
Mr. R. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Rollins,
No.
Mr. Neff.
Yes.
3-6.
3-6. We will not be amending. So next, we need to take a vote, or we have a motion on, as is, ordinance. I'm sorry, Mr. Rollins.
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve from Mr. Rollins. And a second from Mr. Ratliff.
Mr. Barr,
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff,
Yes.
Mr. Schaber,
Yes.
Ms. Lang,
yes,
Mr. T. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Prater,
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Rollins,
Yes.
Mr. Neff.
No.
Motion carries, H1. Ordinance 125-041.
Ordinance vacating part of a 16.5-foot public alley lying west of lots 43 and 44 and east of lots 53 and 54. Original plat of the village, now city of Marion, plat book 1, page 3, and retaining permanent easement rights.
Mr. Barr, this comes out of your committee.
Come out of Streets and Sewers with a 2-0 recommendation to approve. We've had this for quite some time. We're waiting on a survey to come in. It's come in. This will be the second reading. We have a public hearing scheduled for May 12th. So unless there's any other question, I consider this the second reading.
Can you remind me where this is at?
This
again?
is right over by the overpass behind the Johnson.
It's the old Sulky Company.
Yeah,
I thought we did that.
they didn't have the survey.
Oh,
So-
okay.
so
So we got
it's
survey
just
now.
coming back.
Gotcha, okay.
So it's just the section that's identified right here?
Yes.
Between the two buildings.
Okay.
Prevent that from being a cut through. A lot of graffiti and
Yep.
this and that.
Okay.
Anything from any other member of council or the public?
Family Breakers Could you explain to me where this alley is again exactly? I'm sorry. On Main Street, is that what it is?
Yeah, so, trying to think
Like,
about.
by
Between,
Young's
between Main
Parkway?
and Street, or
You-
Main and State, and then in between the tracks.
The two sets of tracks
You know
where
where the
Johnson
crux
Supplies
is?
is at.
Where?
The crux,
Yes.
the old,
Yeah, Benjamin.
yeah, just
The
past,
Sherwood?
just past that, headed east. It's those two buildings just right across from the tracks.
Okay.
And there's a cut through there that,
Well, I used the one cut through by Young's, and I wanted to make sure you weren't
Yeah,
cutting
it's
me
not
off
that
of
one.
Forest Street. That is what I wanted to
no,
make sure. wasn't
you gotta
going
get
out.
right, it'll just dump you out under the overpass.
Okay, I just,
It's just
I know
protecting
what
their
you're talking
property.
about now. Okay, so you have to go right to, go.
Johnston Supply is
Yeah,
here.
I know
and
exactly
then
where,
Mountain Supply.
yeah, I
And
know.
it's kind of between the railroad tracks, so.
That alley,
It doesn't-
that alley's not any good to cut through anyway.
Another question from the public?
Can I ask the reason for that being
Name and
Name and restate your name, please. and-
Kelly Haynes, 160 Sharpless Court? So I live right there off the tracks. My uncle, Wright Sheffield, owns the home there. It's, the actual is a historic home, the old rail yard house. And so we have to bring our trailer and our camper and everything through there and, you know, very narrow street Sharpless Court is. And so I just wanted to know what was the purpose of blocking off the tracks there. And then also, I think because of that fire that just happened the other night, I think that's also how the fire trucks are able to get through.
I think you're mistaken where we're talking about.
Okay, where
It's a
are you?
narrow strip between Johnston and, the old Sulky building.
Oops, sorry, Marion, I'm really sorry, but I wanted to show you. So this is Main Street, this is State Street, the overpass. So it's this little area between those two railroad tracks. So I think you at Sharpless would be maybe like over here off the map, you know, a couple blocks that way.
Okay, so it's not that set of trucks.
Right, right, so
Okay.
it's just this little bit here, this used to be called House and Sulky.
Okay.
And it's kind of over behind the courthouse area.
Okay, so it's a different set. All right, great, thank you very much.
Anything else? If not, we'll leave it as a second reading, and we have a public hearing scheduled for that May 12th. Next is Resolution 2025-010.
resolution confirming the appointment by the mayor of Benjamin Moore as a member of the Marion City Planning Commission.
Mayor Collins?
So I think this came up while I was out of town, and they'd asked for a more in-depth resume from each person that we're going to talk about tonight. Benjamin Moore was recommended for the 6th Ward by Ron Prager, and I spoke with him a couple of different times and emailed back and forth. He's a lifelong resident of Marion, currently works at the Marion City Schools, involved in Royal Family Kids Camp, Marion Christian Center, volunteers at the Palace, union representative for the city schools, just a lifelong resident that cares about his city and is involved in a lot of extracurricular things in the community. And that's why I recommended him for city planning.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Barr?
Make a motion to suspend the 3 readings.
Second.
We have a motion to suspend the 3 readings and a second from Mr. T. Smith.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
No.
Mr. Schauber?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Well, we have a minority no. Mr. Ratliff, would you like to clarify anything about that?
So I had requested the information that we have in front of us tonight. It did take a little bit of time to get it, and I want to do some additional looking into it. And, you know, honestly, with the holiday and everything, I didn't get that time. This is an appointment that goes through the end of 2030. So I think we should make sure we have the right, we should do our due diligence and have the right, person.
Okay, well, I am going to side with the minority in this one. Let's move on to the next. Resolution 2025-011.
Resolution confirming the appointment by the mayor of Bob Goyer to serve as the fifth member of the Board of Directors of the Marion Port Authority.
Again, this is another vacancy that we needed to appoint to the Port Authority. This is actually a shared appointment by the city and the county, so this would also have to be approved by the county. My understanding that they're inclined to do that once we do that. Bob Goyer sent in his resume that was presented to all council. Also another lifelong resident of Marion, currently works at Kingston, very involved in the community, and I think would be a good appointment to that board.
I just want to say that, I mean, I can personally say that I've known Bob Boyer for a number of years, and he is a huge asset to this community in all the ways and that he has been involved. Former city council member and an important member of this community, and I think he'd be a valuable asset to this commission, to the Port Authority. So I just want to put that out there. I feel like, we should move on this. There shouldn't be any questions on Bob Goyer.
Mr. T. Smith?
Make a motion, we suspend the 3 reading rule.
A motion to suspend the 3 readings from Mr. T. Smith and a second from Mr. Prater.
Yep.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
No.
Mr. Schauber?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Again, we did get the information that I asked for, and one of my concerns is that, that I believe this is a member of media who writes news articles. And I actually have a call out to Marion County Now, and I have not received a call back. But maybe I'm completely wrong, but I think even at the last meeting, I did get confirmation from at least one other member that said that they believe the person was too. And on the information, that is not listed on the resume, which, you can read into that or not. But I just, I think that we should know all the information before that we vote on the person.
I think somebody brought that up to me after the last meeting, and it was a definite no that he was not. It was confirmed with him, so I don't know why it's still an issue.
He was not.
That he was part of the media?
Well, I spoke with Mr. Goyer today, and he mentioned writing something for, I'm sorry, Kingston, is it? Which of course would not really qualify as media.
Kingston newsletter.
Right.
Really media.
I agree with you there, but he also mentioned the Marion Now. Is that, am I saying that right? The Marion County Now. And so I mentioned that to him, and that's the part that, I knew that he and I had talked about it a long time ago. And he said, well, a couple things came up in the conversation, and he knew we were going to be looking at this tonight, but he wasn't able to be here. So I understand Mr. Ratliff's question, and I would, once again, I think we should defer to the minority needing information. Yes.
If I may ask, or could council ask the first assistant law director, would this present a conflict if this individual is in fact a member of the media and being on this board? I think that would be the question that would be asked once it's confirmed or denied.
It's a complicated question, and I think there is a definite potential. and our office could look into it and get you guys that information, that if he continues to be a part of a newsletter or a web page that gives out the news, if that would create a conflict by putting him on one of those.
Okay.
You know, the safe answer would be yes, but I'm not saying that that is the answer. It would be a complicated answer, which is he, and then this board can inquire if he's willing to cut ties with that in order to accept this position.
And could we have that answer for the next council meeting on our third reading?
On the May 12th?
Yes, I believe that's the date, yes.
Yep.
Thank
We'll
you.
have it.
Yes, we had a little bit of that kind of discussion I did with him today, just because I was curious, and he seemed, I mean, again, I didn't record it or anything, but he seemed willing to not write for the Marion County now, you know, once in this position. I don't think he'd be willing to give up the Kingston newsletter, but
We'll get a complete answer.
I doubt that that would have anything to do with, you know, one with the other. Mr. Keysmith?
Are either one of these commissions paid positions, Mr. Mayor?
No.
No? I just kind of assumed that since they were mayoral appointments, that you would choose the best person for the job. So I would support it, and I'm not sure why it gets held up either, so.
Mr. Ratliff, may I ask you, is there still considered a conflict of interest if it's not a paid position?
Well, I mean, I think we got.
Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the other Mr.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Payment, I don't think, is anything that qualifies or disqualifies you.
Okay.
If you're part of the media and you have an outlet that is representing something from Marion County now, and then you're also on the board, whether it's a paid position or not, doesn't determine whether you have a conflict or not, based on the fact whether you receive compensation or not.
Okay, thank you. All right. Mr. Ratliff?
So one just question that I would like some clarification on, and whether you agree that this would be a disqualifier or not, or whether you agree that this is a potential conflict or not, I think we should all kind of have our antennas up that we were told tonight it was confirmed he was not a member. And then we were told that he was. And so if I could just ask the mayor, who confirmed that he was not a member of media and did not work for Marion County Now?
That information came from my secretary, Linda. And Linda had the conversation after you guys had the last meeting. And she informed me that it was not part of the media.
Okay.
So maybe she doesn't consider Marion County Now part of the media. I don't know. Or maybe she didn't know he was part of that. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I can't say. I did not know that.
Mr. Neff?
I just want to say thanks to both of these people for putting themselves out there for these positions. I think they're excellent choices for both spots. Among the many things a mayor has to do, he has to make a lot of these appointments, and I know we talk about institutional knowledge. So my first 4 years on council, with the previous administration, there were a number of positions that needed to be filled on various boards. And shame on me for not stalling it out quite like this, but I did respectfully ask for resumes because typically they weren't given. So we do have them now. I appreciate that, and just going forward, if we could do that. But I can say all the appointments in my first 4 years on term never went through this much rigmarole to get it done. So once again, thank you to both of these members that have put themselves out there for these positions.
Thank you. Mr. Prater?
Yeah, I'd like to second what he said. I wouldn't even recommended Benjamin Moore to the mayor if he wasn't highly exemplary. If he wasn't highly exemplary, I would not have mentioned it. And I think that Bob Boyer, I know years ago, he helped me out a lot when I needed it, and he was right there, standing behind. He's been a part of this community a long time. And these things are being held up, and these people have put themselves out there, and I find it disturbing.
Mr. Ratliff?
So I will address this. And, you know, the Ohio Revised Code sets up the way that legislation is supposed to be run. And legislation is supposed to receive 3 public readings so that the public has 3 opportunities to come to their elected members and say what they think about any particular issue. We saw tonight that a council person in item number 6 came on the 3rd reading and wanted something changed. Now, it wasn't changed, but now 2 items later, the same council person is saying they can't believe that something isn't being passed on the 2nd reading. When again, 2 items earlier, they wanted a change at the 3rd reading. And it's only on special circumstances are we supposed to pass things before its 3rd reading, because what we're doing is we are cheating the public out of opportunities to come and talk to us about certain issues. So I don't see any disrespect, I don't see any problem with just following the way that we're supposed to legislate and having 3 readings on any certain issue.
It's inappropriate, please. Thank you. Yes, did you want to add something, please?
Pam Rish, 332 Nye Street. I understand Mr. Ratliff's, reservations in some way, but you also said because of the holiday and that you did not have time. So I think that to hold up these appointments, because you didn't have time in your schedule to look at that, and I feel like that is definitely not good to have to hold it up when everybody else is going for it because of your time and having it appropriately. I've known Mr. Boyer for a while. He works very hard for the Love My Seniors. He is an advocate very much for Marion and anybody that he could help, and he would definitely be an asset on this committee. So that, as a resident, that's my opinion.
Thank you. So you have this item?
Yeah, just, once again, I thank these gentlemen, both of these gentlemen, for putting themselves out there, and in 2 weeks, I feel confident that we will appoint them, but just revisionist history, 4 years of the previous administration, never once did we go more than 1 read, never once on an appointment.
Yeah.
Not once.
Thank you for the history. All right. Well, my decision stands, and we will move. Yeah, leave this at a second reading.
Madam President?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
I appreciate what I'm hearing tonight as far as Mr. Ratliff saying, you know what, I didn't have the time to review this, but is concerned for the community's sake in having the readings and doing the due diligence and checking and making sure that, this is appropriate. I think if there's more accountability is what I'm calling for as a person that's been subject to some really, a lot of problems in this community as far as clerical errors going, and judgment entries. These things can be addressed if we slow down. We say, hey, I took on too much. He was on vacation, he acknowledged that, or whatever happened. I didn't have time. But we gotta wait a minute, slow down before we move forward. And this is how many, until the 30th? We've gotta slow down. Let him look it over. If it's not gonna change anything, if these are the right people, then he's gonna get to that point and say, this is the right person for the job, and then we can move forward. But just take a minute and pause. Maybe there's another candidate, maybe there's not. Sometimes we appoint our friends, and they're not the best people just because they're good to us, and they were good.
We need to stop the vote.
My friends, okay? My friends are gonna be good to me. That doesn't mean that my friends are gonna be good to somebody else, or for that position. We have to slow down and make the right decisions. Due diligence is necessary that is the reason why Marion is in the position we're moving too fast. We haven't slowed down. We've made some mistakes. Let's correct these mistakes by slowing down and making sure we're doing the right thing. Then we have to go back and correct the problem and spend hours and hours, and it's just enough. I don't think it's gonna take too long to get this appointment if we do that.
Okay. Reading that, resolution 2025-011 for, as a second reading. Brings us to ordinance 2025-045.
Ordinance designating depositories of public monies of the city of Marion and declaring an emergency.
Ms. Lang.
This is the second read. It came out of the Finance Committee with a 2-1 recommendation to approve. Mr. Reese is here to answer any questions. I don't have anything to add at this time.
Questions or concerns? All right. Leave it as first reading. Oh, I'm sorry, second. Here's the 28th. All right, moving on to new business. Ordinance 2025-047.
Ordinance vacating a public street situated in the city of Marion, Marion County, state of Ohio, and known as being in the southwest quarter of section 21, Township 5 West, Range 15 East, being part of outlots 420 and 421, and being part of Hoyle Street right-of-way area as recorded in Horatio Hoyle's first edition, Plat Book 3, page 114 of Marion County Records, State of Ohio, and retaining permanent easement rights.
Mr. Barr?
Come out Streets and Sewers with a 3-0 recommendation to reject. I believe the engineer had a conversation with Councilman Smith, Thaddeus Smith, with ODOT. I think their concern is it's dumping out behind there, so did they send representative tonight? I'm sorry, I can't see you over there.
I don't think so. Did not send ODOT representative?
I think they were asking us to send it back to committee.
They did by email.
I'm sorry, what was that?
They did by email. They suggested that we send it back to committee. They're very concerned about the safety situation there. This is, it's funded as a safety project because of the way that oil dumps out behind the gate, as we're all well aware. I did want to read one comment in this email from one of the consulting engineers. It's Alejandro Chalk is his name. He's with Wolpert, and he says the Hoyles Cuyahoga approach is completely inside the grade crossing gates, and any movement to or from that approach during a train movement would be violating an active grade crossing warning device, which is not an ideal condition and illegal. Also note that there are sidelights equipped on the warning device to cover the Hoyles Cuyahoga approach, further emphasizing that the approach is inside the crossing. So it's really just a safety thing. So I think if the council approved this, I would like to take the stand that it's that I disagree with it. I think it needs to be done as a safety reason. Someone could get stuck there or hit or killed there. So.
Okay, thank you. Mr. R. Smith?
I have a question for the law director.
Yep.
Now that we've had this issue come up, and it's a safety issue, if somebody gets hurt there, is it going to be a liability on the city or is it on the individual?
The city can also potentially be liable. And whether that is successful in obtaining that liability is a different story. But you better believe if there's any type of accident that occurs, the city of Marion would be listed with that individual if they should sue in that case. If they file a lawsuit, they're going to attach the city to that because we have the most ability to pay whatever injuries, whatever happened if somebody is killed in that area and it's a safety issue, if we're the ones that passed it, created it, that occurred, we would be attached to it as well. It doesn't mean that we would be liable in it, but it doesn't stop us from being named either.
Mr.
So
Bauer?
there's two separate questions in any case in that matter.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Mr. Bauer.
Mr. Shetler, do you feel if we send this back to committee, that there could be some type of compromise? Because I believe all of us up here see the need and the issue over there and not wanting to close Hoyle Street, but there's gotta be some type, do you feel like we can come to some type of compromise and potentially make that one way going west or another gate or something? So do you think that's a possibility?
Yeah, I do. Excuse me, I think anything's a possibility there. I think sending it back to committee would give us the opportunity to have those discussions and possibly come to another solution there, and we'll get the consulting engineer here to further discuss what the other parts of that design are and all that. So I think, and there's no hurry on this project.
This isn't being done till 26 or 27, right? So
Yeah.
I hate to kick it around like that, but I also want to make sure that we're doing what's best for the city and the residents on that side of town.
Mr. Schauber, I saw your hand.
Yeah, so I don't know if we can send this back to committee because this is a binding agreement, for lack of a better term, from city planning. This should be from binding recommendation from city planning. So we can discuss it all we want in committee, but we still have to go with the recommendation, if I'm not mistaken. Or override it.
The recommendation to reject?
Override it. Yes.
Yeah, because it came out of city planning where this discussion, I wish it would have happened because I've been on this since December 13th. And for whatever reason, I could not be heard. And then now we want to send it back to committee, which, if great, let's have discussion, but I don't think we will accomplish anything in city planning. Or city, or in committee. It has to start from city planning, I would believe.
Ms. Warren, on this, do you have a response to that?
Hammerish, 332 Nye Street. And we've talked quite a bit about this. I have been coming in specifically for this issue. I have lived in that area for over 30 years. I know that there have been accidents at different tracks. My first thought is where you're talking about the liability to the city, does that mean that anybody that decides to walk onto a track when the gate's down, or anybody that crosses over a track can turn around and sue the city? Because I've traveled that way, seen the trains, seen the train lights, and know when there's a train coming, you can still see the guardrail. Also, if you look at a number of tracks in this town, if you look where Shovel City Drinker is, you've got a whole section of tracks right there that cars go down. It's no different than that little area right there on Hoyle. There's no gates, there's nothing stopping anybody from driving up on those tracks. But there's a whole stretch of alley you can run right along those tracks. And this is a very small section of peak. So, also we talked about the safety, and I know the mayor spoke that there's been a number of incidents at that crossing, and I'm not doubting you on that, because before social media, a lot of times you didn't hear it if it wasn't in the newspaper. But I'd like to see the statistics on that crossing, how they rank that crossing, how the other crossings in Marion rank also. And I'm sure that everybody here, or 90% of you, have seen somebody go around a guardrail somewhere in Marion with all the crossings when they probably should not have. And they did that by their choice. And that was a decision that they made. So I ask you, just for the traffic, for the combustion, for the fact that that neighborhood is already struggling on the other side, and that area is struggling, to, reconsider this, because that's going to create even more of a safety hazard on the businesses there. I don't want to be pumping gas at Motor Mart going in to pay and someone flying through the Motor Mart parking lot because they're trying to get out of the situation when the trains are on the track for a half an hour. Or driving down some of our city streets on the west end, which we already get a lot of local traffic, going down Bennett, blowing through stop signs continually. So it's gonna create more. So that and changing the lights as they're suggesting, what are you gonna do while you're changing the Center Street direction and somebody is sitting on David Street wanting to go left down Center? How long are they gonna sit there while they're changing that direction? I think a lot of the discussion is that they think that it's because people want to go and turn left on Hoyle and go over the tracks when the guardrail's down. That is not what we're talking about. We're talking about it being an outlet for turning right behind there. And that way you can cross over the intersection and go down David, go back down Center, but it gives you that outlet. And you can put quite a few cars in that area and get them off of Center Street while the tracks are blocked for a half hour. But if you do that, there's no way for anybody to get out without making a U-turn. If you take that away, they're gonna be making U-turns because there's nowhere to go, or through the businesses. Thank you.
I have to apologize for not having gavelled this into a public hearing, unless you wrote down a number for me. But I appreciate all the commentary and explanations, and so, thank you, particularly Ms. Fish and everyone else. Mr. Smith?
Yes, yesterday I talked to the owner of the drive-through, and he is very concerned if that's blocked there, because he's afraid that somebody is going to cut through his lot and the traffic's going different directions. There's people coming out of the drive-through, and that's his worry, is that if that's blocked off, they're going to cut through his parking lot, through his area, and there's going to be traffic accidents on his property. Somebody's liable to get hurt stepping out, so that's his big concern.
Thank you. Mr. Ratliff?
All right, so tonight I've heard an idea of sending it back to committee, and I've heard an idea of not. And I believe I've heard that the state is who's asked it to go back to committee?
That was just a suggestion.
Okay. And are these the same people that were at the last committee who left?
One of the project manager was here at that meeting, but these are other, the actual
So,
design.
right, so, maybe we could have done a better job of scheduling, and maybe when we have this in the future, we should be mindful of if somebody's coming in and a bunch of meetings are set, and there's, because we go every 5 minutes anyway, if you go 6:30, 6:35, if you want to throw this in at 6:31 and go second, then, it probably would have been better for the people that came from the state for that, but.
When the committee was over, he thought all of it was over.
Okay.
And got up and left.
And they're not here tonight. And so, I don't know what sending it back to committee is going to do for them to communicate with us when we could have a second reading in 2 weeks and they could come then too. So that's just.
And I think that would be a good
I would
option.
agree, Mr. Ratliff.
I think we could have them here in 2 weeks for the second reading. They can present what they have.
Thank you. Mr. Schauber?
So the purpose of these individuals to come is to convince us to close it? Because if that's the case, magically, we have a public hearing on the first reading. How that happens, who knows? So we have a public hearing, let's suspend the rules, vote this down, let city planning send something back that reflects what the residents want.
If I might, this was put in with several other pieces of legislation that were scheduled for public hearings today, under the thought that it was coming out of Planning Commission, going to committee, and was going to end up being on the third reading. I didn't know it was going to be held up in committee. It just happened to come out in time. It had been advertised for a public hearing. They were put together to save money. It would have cost us twice as much if I'd have put them in individually. I'm cheap.
So, and I appreciate the cost savings, but we have procedures for a reason. And I know this is a ticky-tack thing to argue over when our public hearings go out, but we had no clue this would even come out of committee. It was just assumed that it would.
Were you making a motion there, Mr. Schauber?
I just, so, I don't want to waste any more time on this, because if we're just going to sit and wait on ODOT or whoever to convince us to close it, and I believe there's a consensus that it should not be closed amongst council members, let's reject this, let city planning redo this and bring something that represents or is reflective of the needs and wants down there.
Ms. Ramos?
I think that might be possible. I'm not 100% sure. But I understand where you're coming from. The other thing would be to ask, I mean, I think ultimately you're right in that city planning is where we can get into the weeds on drawing and options to come out, where it's much more difficult to do, particularly like on a third reading. Because I would ask that when council, or when the ODOT representatives come, that they come with some other options as well for discussion. You know, because obviously they are experts and we want to have safety be the primary, because if you're choosing something that's going against something that is deemed a safety issue, that probably does open you up for some liability because you went against the recommendations, or, you know, disallowed a safety feature. But if they could come with some options or tweaks or something, I mean, a few options, just kind of like we do a block grant. A, B, and C is something more palatable that still achieves safety, and, you know, maybe they need to acquire some more land in order to make either the U-turn or to make it so that somebody doesn't have to utilize private property to get out of the situation.
Right.
Thank you. Mr. Prater, you have?
Yeah, well, you know, working my job, last year, especially the last 2 months, I drove through that part of town a lot. And I can see the use for that Hoyle Street, why people would want it. But if you're going off center and you turn to the right and you get trapped, the gates could come down and you're in the middle. But if you were going west, I would see that would be fine, because it is an outlet. It does allow people, if you closed it down completely, it would kind of restrict some flow of traffic. But if you're just going across, like, you know, you get on center and you turn left, and then you turn left to go across the tracks and head north, that is a danger. Because one time it happened with me. I thought, man, the gates just, and I've seen it with other cars. That was in my own car when I was driving one time. But I see that if it was going west, you could leave it open and it would be safe. Make it one way.
Any other comments on this issue? Mr.
Yes.
Arsman?
I understand this project will not happen until, what, 26, 27? If we pass this, I have a question for the law director again. If we pass this and somebody gets injured or killed between the time we pass it and when the project actually happens, is the city still liable?
If they haven't changed if the project hasn't occurred yet.
Right.
I wouldn't see that you would be, because the accident didn't occur because of the legislation you passed and the changes were made.
Okay, but it would give us
Does it stop
liability.
an individual from filing a suit and naming you? It
No.
does not.
I mean, anybody
It does
can file
not.
for anything.
Now, and I'm saying ultimately, I don't think the liability would, because we just passed it and we're waiting for it to happen and somebody's injured in the meantime. Well, it actually didn't get changed.
Right.
So your legislation wasn't at fault, but it's not going to stop an individual, because they can name somebody as a potential defendant in any lawsuit and try to get to liability.
Right.
So the city of Marion would be named. Any good personal injury attorney is going to name all parties that they can as a potential outlet to seek money to reimburse their client.
Right. But yeah, I was just wondering about, were we liable to be guilty for lack of a better word.
I think we would be named just like we would at any other time,
But that
but
doesn't answer-
liability would probably favor us better because the changes haven't happened yet.
Thank you.
And if the accident occurs after the change is made, and it's deemed the legislation that you passed is the safety issue you created, which is what occurred in this specific instance, that's a better case against the city.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Rich?
Ann Wish, 332 Nye Street. The bottom line really is, which is something we fought against, is we wouldn't have to worry about the traffic getting backed up. We wouldn't have to worry about the safety concerns if the tracks were not blocked for the length of time that they are over there. So it all boils down to the tracks not being able to get through, the pile of traffic that are trying to get through, how they're, down for a half hour sometimes when trucks are blocked. You know, after you're sitting there 20, 25 minutes, the train's still not moving, 15 minutes, you're gonna go, I'm not gonna wait on this, I don't know how long. And so that's where that street is needed. If we could fix that issue, then it would probably be fine to close Hoyle Street, and there wouldn't be that question. But it's just the fact that, like I said, that the blockage of the trains, and if ODOT could figure out a magic configuration to work that out. As far as liability, I know a few years ago, there was someone who passed away on the Center Street tracks. I have to question, did anybody sue the city for that because of a person making a choice? I know that there's been, you mentioned the mayor, there's been quite a few instances where there's been things that have happened on those tracks at Hoyle before. Is there any records of any lawsuits or anything to the city from any of those past? Because I kind of feel like that they're using this whole you could be sued as a scare tactic is the way I feel it. You know, let's put everybody on edge that we're up to be for liability of being sued when it comes down to the person's choice to go across that track when the thing is down. And they could put another guardrail on that side, so.
Anything else on this matter? Mr. Schauber?
Are we still in the public hearing? When we come out of the public hearing, I would ask other council members to join me in suspending the rules, the three reading rules, and then after a motion to adopt, join me in voting no against this and letting city planning and ODOT work other options and bring that back to council.
Any other comments from anyone else then?
Amy Craig, 365 Silver Street, and I agree with Ms. Rich. I live in the area, and it's a mess. Husband works at Whirlpool, so we know the area. I agree with Mr. Schauber because my thought is it might just come eminent domain us. If we don't give them or try to work out a solution with us, they might just take the land from us and tell us, okay, we tried to do it the right way, and now we're just going to snag it from you. So I would think that maybe we should try to compromise with them instead of just saying, we're going to do what we want to do.
Thank you. Mr. Ratliff, I saw your hand up.
I was just going to ask fellow council members what they think of that idea.
Of Mr. Schauber's idea?
Yeah, because if we technically, it has to go back to city planning, even if we were to adopt it, or if we vote it down, we would have to do it by a supermajority, correct? Or it would actually pass anyway. And that's what happened the last time that I think we actually passed something like 5-4 or 5-3, and then it wasn't adopted. And if we're not happy with what's here, that's probably the best avenue forward, and to move it along.
I think it's a great idea to send it back. So, I do think that on that phone call, they made it somewhat clear that they would just take the property if we couldn't find a solution, so.
Are they doing the work on the other side of the tracks?
They didn't say.
Mr. Shetler, is that the plan? They're supposed to do the work on the other side of the tracks to clean up that intersection?
That's part
And
of the
that'll probably
process.
be revoked.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that, so.
I guess my thought process is to let this go to a second reading, let them see if they come with some options. They're well aware of where council stands on this and that we're opposed to it, that the citizens on that side of town are opposed to it. Let's give them an opportunity to try to come with some options, as Ms. Moran said.
Mr. Ratliff?
But
Are we still in the discussion?
Yes, but I think that the mindset is if they were to come and give us options, we can't do anything with them anyway. Because city planning, we can either vote it up or down, correct?
Yes.
So we,
You would
like,
have to amend.
I'm gonna amend.
Maybe it should just go back.
I mean, I think it almost has to. Like, I think once it comes, I don't think we have some of the options we do if it comes out of committee like it does when it comes out of city planning. And so I think it's great if they come in and they give options. I think that those options should be presented to the city planning, which then would come to us instead of to us, and then we would have to either vote it up or down then, and then city planning would have to take it up. It kind of takes a step out by just sending it back to them now.
So you're okay with suspending the 3 readings?
Well, it's the only way, because this is going to be a long process. It's not like you need another consideration. This is going to be a long process and then come back for 3 more readings then.
Okay. Ms. Moramis?
I was just thinking, because in essence, they would be amending their application at that point, because in theory, because it would change so much. It's unlike the text or some of these other things, when you amend it a word or two, now it's the whole design, potentially. So that really is amending their application.
Anything else on the issue? Mr. Smith?
I'm kind of confused because I heard one of our council members earlier say that suspension of the rules should be done in emergencies only. And now I hear that we need to suspend this rule because of convenience, I guess, for time. I just don't see an emergency in this situation. It's not going to happen for 2 or 3 years yet. And so 2 weeks is not going to make that much of a difference if we wait and hear it in 2 weeks.
Mr. Ratliff and then
Yeah,
Mr.
I would just back up what I said earlier. I do think that this has extraordinary circumstances around it because it has to start back from square one. We're not, for better term, cheating the public out of any readings, because when it would come back to us, it should get 3 readings at that point. So technically, it's getting 4 readings with the one tonight instead of the normal 3.
Okay. Mr. Chopper?
So I believe the comment was made that council does not want this to be closed. What's wrong with suspending the rules and going on the record tonight and saying that closing it is not an option?
I don't think it is.
We're still in the public hearing.
Okay.
It come out of Streets and Sewers with a 3-0 recommendation to reject.
Okay, so then let's send the clear message to ODOT and the consultants that you have to come up with other recommendations or options other than closing it. And then that's the only option that they want to do, let them eminent domain it. Let them do it. That way, I've fulfilled my obligation as a Third Ward Council representative and fought for the people of the Third Ward and everyone else that uses that street. And if we don't vote on it tonight, you're not doing that.
Mr. Bodine?
I'm not really for or against either way, but I will tell you, I know from previous experience, if this is done with a safety concern and we start rejecting things done by the state, they might be less likely to give us safety grants in the future. So just throwing that out there. I'm not saying that's going to happen. It's just a concern of mine.
Thank you. Anything else from the public on this issue? Or from council on this issue before we make any decision? All right, hearing none, we'll end that public hearing at 8:03. Mr. Shaw?
So we are out of the public hearing now?
Yes, we are.
I will make the motion that we waive the 3 readings rule.
We have a motion to waive the 3 readings rule from Mr. Schauber and Mr. Rollins.
Second.
A second? Okay, when you're ready.
Mr. Barr?
No.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Mr. Schauber?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
No.
Mr. R. Smith?
No.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
No.
5-4.
Well, requires
7.
that's 55, this is 44.
I haven't changed that yet. That's still 44.
Okay, so it does not carry, requires 7. So motion to suspend does not carry. Mr. Shaw?
So the message I got from that vote is that this council truly does not want to close or leave that Hoyle Street open in time. It will be closed. They just bought themselves time.
I agree. It will be closed. But I also would like to not risk safety grant money from the state and give them an opportunity to come and speak. So, I agree, I don't want it closed either. But I also feel we should just let it go through the reads, and then we'll make those decisions, send it back to city planning, and come with a better plan. Just to clarify.
Mr. Ratliff?
While we're clarifying, I just want to go on record to say, I don't think any of you 4 that voted no held up legislation. I think this is the legislative process, and this is how it's supposed to work.
Thank you.
All right, so we leave this as a second reading?
First.
So this is the first of this?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, moving on. What?
I was confused, trying to figure out if we were sending it back to the planning commission
Yeah,
or...
me too. Ordinance 2025-048.
Ordinance to establish a Safe Streets for All grant through the Department of Transportation and authorize the service director to apply and administer a grant and declaring an emergency.
Ms. Lang?
This came out of Finance Committee with a 3-0 recommendation, and Ms. Brown is here, so I'm gonna let her explain what this grant is for.
So this grant is through the Department of Transportation. We are wanting to replace all of the streetlights, the street lights, and then 5 traffic signals, and I have those intersections. There is a 20% match, but we can use salaries, things like that. So we're still working. This one's not due till June, late June, so we haven't completely gotten it figured out yet. Once we get the cost estimate from the engineers, we're gonna sit down and we're gonna make it so we don't have to pay for the 20%. We'll make it so it's salaries, and it's over 5 years, so we have 5 years to build that up.
Mr. Neff?
So the intersections have been identified?
Yes, I have those. So it's Church and Prospect, Church and Main, Church and State, Center and Main, and Center and Forest Lawn Boulevard. And then I don't know, I believe Mike knows, but I don't know off the top of my head, the 2, maybe a couple intersections that have already been done through ODOT, but these ones would match up and coordinate with those for better traffic flow.
State and Center, Prospect and Center.
You said the application is not due until June?
Yeah, I believe it's the 26th.
Okay, is there any advantage to passing it early or no?
I would be able to submit it earlier. It's not one that closes when it gets a certain amount, so I don't necessarily believe so, no.
Mr. Neff?
You said Church and Main, is that correct?
Yes.
My brain's focused on
Yes,
Center.
Church and Main. I can send them to you if you'd like.
Okay. That one's really great because that's where the archway is going to go. And I know on the renderings, which were wonderful, we had the renderings overlaid over this I don't even know how to describe it. This old traffic signal, I guess would be the best way to describe it. So thank you.
Would you send that to all accounts?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you. Mr. Barr?
Make a motion to suspend the 3 readings.
We have a motion to suspend from Mr. Barr and a second from Mr. Knapp. Are you ready?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Mr. Schauber?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Knapp?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously to suspend the 3 reading rule. Mr. Barr?
Motion to adopt.
We have a motion to adopt
Second.
and a second from Mr. Prater.
Discussion.
Any more discussion on that issue? All right.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Mr. Schauber?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Knapp?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries unanimously. Ordinance 2025-048. 14, ordinance 2025-049, victims suspended.
Ordinance making an appropriation mandated by ORC 5705.44, previously approved by council in ordinance 2024-135 in the below listed line item for the year ending December 31st, 2025.
Ms. Lett, also from finance.
This came out of Finance Committee with a 2-1 and no recommendation. This is, I believe, to deappropriate funds for the Victims Assistance Program. Ms. Courtwright, if you would like to add anything?
No, this is just, we were passed it last fall, but additional grants came in to support Victim Assistance Fund. So we're asking to deappropriate those funds. I would ask to suspend that rule so that those funds could be removed from the budget and just not available to be appropriated for anything, any other purchases.
Mr. Barr?
I just had a question. It come out with a 2-1 recommendation. Mr. Rollins, I believe it was your vote. Was there a reason for that?
Yeah, if you go back, I didn't support removing this from the budget to begin with.
Right, you wanted it just to stay where it was at with the.
Absolutely,
Victims
100%.
Advocate.
Yep.
That's what I thought, but I just wanted to make sure.
Yep.
Although, with the financial situation, I think we want that money back.
I think if you're a victim of a crime in Marion, you probably don't, but, yeah,
Well,
okay.
they have, I mean, they still have the same amount of funds now. It's just to secure some more grant money.
I stand with what I said.
No recommendation. They didn't make a recommendation.
You have a comment?
I was just clarifying about whether it was recommended or not. No recommendation, Ms. Lang, correct? That's correct, okay. Question or comment from out here?
I'd like to hear more from Mr. Rollins.
Well,
I'm sorry?
I would like to hear
you'll
more.
need to come up to the podium if you have a comment.
Name and address.
And then name and address, please.
Yes, Kelly Haynes, 160 Sharples Court. I am very interested in this as a victim. And I would like to hear more of why he's going against everyone else and explain it to us, why you're voting like this, because we want it.
Yeah, I think of all the things that we could cut from the budget, assisting victims of crime in Marion is probably not one of them. I think it's one of the very few obligations we have as city council members to take care of those in need and those in distress in our community. I didn't support this being removed from the budget. If you go back to those original votes, I voted no. I stand with that.
I agree with them. I mean, 100%. I'm a victim. I haven't been able to get any type of assistance. I've got 2 5-year protection orders that were in place at the time that Marion City police officers attached the man who actually victimized me, attached him to me in an AKA, then turned around and indicted this man for felonious assault, but they used my social security number. I have not been able to work. I could not get licensed as an insurance agent, lost my mother's house, which is in that area right there they're talking about on, in that zoning area. Lost it because I couldn't work. I'm a victim now, mind you, and the police officers did this, and I am just now getting it corrected. right? Destroyed my life, my children's lives. I agree with them. We need this money, and we need to start giving it out to the people who need it, because I ain't got none of it. I haven't got not a penny. I'm hurt. My children are hurting, and there are many people who are hurting. And if you can explain to us what this money is for and why you don't want to give it to us, yeah, I'd like to hear your side of it too.
Well, it's not that we're not wanting to give it to you. The funds that were allocated to this project are for staffing that is paid for by the county, and that's split funded, and they have the same amount of money they needed for those staff people that they are hired already with the grant funds that they have.
Because
So
they got more grant
weren't sure
money.
they were going to go to the grant funds, that's why they asked for additional funds from the city. But they got their grant funds, this is paid for staff. There's two, a full-time and a part-time and an administrative assistant that we pay for that supports that for the city.
We might need more people on staff.
Well,
We might
that
need more
is-
staff.
that's-
I never get calls back. I call, and I've even gotten where my emails, I have been emailing city officials, right? And they blocked me. I can't even email them. Is that even allowed? I don't know if people are allowed to do that, because they block me, because they get tired of me day after day after day, telling them, this is what you did wrong, this is in a public records request given to me, I got proof. They don't want to hear it though, they don't want to hear it, they ain't got time to get back to anybody, so maybe they need to hire some more people. Like me, I need a job, I've been victimized, can't get work, yeah, we need that money. You're right, thank you.
Mr. Bart, thank you.
I just want to say, I agree with Mr. Rollins completely. This was amended to lower the amount in the beginning. I was the one that made the motion to amend it back to the full amount. And I'll be the first one to a motion or to approve more funding they need, and if they have a need for that. And I think most of us on here will. So with that being said, I'll make a motion to suspend the 3 readings.
Okay, we have one more public comment, I think, and we'll come back to Mr. Bart.
Speaking of which, you didn't take public comment on the last ordinance that you suspended the rules and passed, but that's okay. Naomi Craig, 365 Silver Street. Mr. Rollins, I agree with you 100%. I know the ladies that work in victims assistance. We just heard there's a full-time and a part-time, and I was told they dealt with over 1,300 victims last year on 60 hours a week, and they work much more than their 8 to 5s. So we could slide them some money. I know we're not going to, but thank you for standing up for victims of crime in this town.
As I said before, I was the one that made the motion to give them the full amount after there was an amendment to cut it. I have no problems with that. That's not what it's about. They can come back and ask for money if they need money.
Naomi Craig, 365 Silver Street. I didn't say any of those things too, but
Okay.
apparently that's what you assumed, but that's
I'm
not
sorry,
what I
Ms.
said.
Craig, I must have misunderstood you.
Clearly you did, because I was
Okay.
speaking to Mr. Rollins.
I believe I made a motion.
Would you repeat that motion, Mr. Bart?
I'll make a motion to suspend the 3 readings.
Thank you. And Mr. T. Smith, I see your hand first.
Yes, ma'am.
Second it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And when you're ready.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
No.
Mr. Schauber?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
No.
Mr. Knapp?
Yes.
7-2.
Passed 7-2.
Well, Mr. Ratliff will
Well, I'm going to stick with this.
Motion to adopt.
Before we go on, thank you. We have a motion for Mr. Barr to adopt, and a second for Mr. R. Smith.
Just a quick point of order, we did have a vote in the minority party in the negative.
Well, yes. Was there more discussion that needs to happen?
Do you have I didn't hear you, did you decide on whether or not you were going to accept that?
Oh.
Or not?
I'm not accepting that. I felt like we had
Okay.
enough discussion on this.
All right, thank you.
Sorry, thank you.
Yep.
Madam President, if I could have you just think about that for a minute. And the reason here is that, one, by sitting on this for 2 more weeks, we're not jeopardizing anything. They have the entire amount of money, and this is to de-appropriate money. So we're not, there is nothing held up, there's nothing anything with this. But in my initial looking at it, is that what we were told when they were asked for the initial amount of money to start with, is that if they got the same grant money that they did last year, that they would have the same request as last year. And from what I have found, and again, I've not confirmed any of this, I've got some calls out, is that the grant money that was received is the same grant money as last year, but yet the funding, once that this is de-appropriated, would be more than they received last year. And if we were told that they only need X amount of dollars if they receive the grant money, and they receive the grant money, and now we're giving X plus $5,000, I just think that we should have an explanation, we should have a budget from them, and we should know where that money's going.
Ms. Courtwright, can you comment on that as far as how the...
I can a little bit. I think those budgets were all submitted back when we originally did this back in the fall. So a budget was submitted, they knew how much money they needed, they thought they would get so much money they thought their grant was going to be cut. They've been told to expect a 20-30% cut. So they asked for more money than what they normally would have from us and the county, and they split that. We approved ours that we would pay. We found out that they got the grant and got fully funded through that grant of what they asked for, so they didn't need the additional dollars that we approved. So all we're simply doing is a bookkeeping of putting this back in to the general fund to be used somewhere else, not by, they didn't need the money.
And we have a couple of members of council who would disagree with that. So, Ms. Ratliff, I don't see how...
I believe that they received $17,000 last year from the city. And if my math is right, they would receive $22,000 this year. So my question is, if we were told if they get fully funded, they would need the same amount as last year, and if they got fully funded, my question is, and because we did receive a budget, why do they need more than last year?
Cost of living adjustment, there were raises on the salaries, and we're not talking about, so those were adjusted. The salaries I received in the fall is what they based their budget on, based on what they believe their salaries and benefits would be for the full-time and the part-time person. I didn't bring that down with me. I mean, if you guys want to wait, we can wait 2 weeks. I can pull back.
And that's why I was saying, if we could look into this, there is nothing held up, because right now they have the entire amount of money.
And every purchase order comes from me, so I'm obviously not going to approve any money moves to go from that line. So it's fine where it sits. I can pull out what they submitted last fall and, produce something for you guys.
And, and I know in the scheme of things, it's a small amount of money, but this would be a, 20, math in my head, like a 22% increase. And that's large.
Well, I don't, like I said, it was November when I prepared that originally, so I will pull it out, look at it, and we'll, health insurance and salaries and benefits, so I'd have to go back and look. But I can prepare something for you for 2 weeks.
Well, in light of that, I will reverse the decision and go with the minority. And
thank you.
On behalf of more information, thank you. All right. That brings us to matters not on the agenda. Mr. Schaubert?
Wednesday, it was brought to my attention that there's a patch of field between the end of Brentwood and Rosewood and that elementary school. And I cannot think of what that elementary school name is. It used to be old Glenwood. Is it McKinley? It's not McKinley. Garfield. Yes, Garfield. So that's city schools property. And Wednesday, there was a sprayer in there to kill all the grass. And from what I gather from the gentleman spraying the grass is that Pheasants Forever may be leasing this piece of ground to change that to pheasant habitat. Which, okay, but how does that fall within our 6-inch tall weeds and grass zoning issue? And I will add that the neighbors on that end of Brentwood and Rosewood are not real thrilled about having the tall grass growing, if indeed, in fact, that's what's happening. I haven't been able to get any answers. I went to regional planning. They were unaware. I've got 2 calls out to school board members, and I've not received any call back.
The city school property, or?
Yes, yes. So, but what I question is, so Lynn Clayball owns farm ground that is farmed within the city, and each year or every 5 years or so often, we have to pass a resolution saying that he can, in fact, do agricultural practices within the city limits. I'm thinking that this may fall under that same thing. So no one from the city has heard anything? Okay.
Madam President, I have a urgent ordinance that I would like to add to the agenda tonight. As he's passing that out, this is just something that came to light within the last 4 or 5 days. Toward the end of last week, we found out that, and I'll let Ms. Courtwright and Mr. Cowell explain it more in depth, but it basically deals with the money that we use to purchase the Rite Aid facility for our fire station. There's an option that the state allows us to get reimbursed that money. If we bond out money for the construction project, we can add the cost of the building into that, to bond that out and forego the using of our cash funds that we did for that building. But there's a very short time frame that you're allowed to do that in, and they were just made aware of it late last week, so that's what we're trying to do today, is just pass an ordinance that allows us to take advantage of that if we choose to when it comes to that. But it has to be done rather quickly. Like to add anything?
I'll just small clarification. So after we purchased the Rite Aid building, we met with legal counsel, and they saw that we already purchased the building. We had some conversations on kind of next steps, how to proceed with the new fire station that we're in the process of renovating. There's no urgent need for this other than the fact that we have 60 days to pass this resolution to use it over the next 18 months. We don't know exactly the cost of the renovation. We have an estimate of what we believe. We started this process back in 2018. So we don't anticipate having to do that. We've already used the cash. We've already done that. However, up to 18 months, we can reimburse ourselves from the bond back to the city into the fire fund in case we need it. We don't anticipate doing that, but because we only have a 60-day window and we don't have a committee meeting on the 5th, that's why we're bringing this to you as an item not on the agenda. 60 days from the purchase of the property, which would be May 23rd. The 25th is when it falls, but Friday is the last business day. And the next council meeting would be, after committee, would be on the 27th.
If I might, I need a little bit of clarification. You both mentioned an ordinance, and this says resolution.
It is a resolution.
Okay. That'll determine the number I
That
use.
one is a resolution.
And you mentioned May 5th.
Agenda
We will
meeting.
not have finance
committee.
that night.
Finance committee, yes.
Okay. That's for clarification. Thank you.
Okay, just some some questions. You had said after we purchased the building, you met with legal counsel.
After we bought the building,
Who,
Brickler and Eckler, or Brickler and Grayson, that's their old name. Brickler and Grayson is our legal counsel that we've been working on to do the procurement and securing our construction management group, so they're working on that. And they mentioned that as we're working on this, that it might be wise for us to pass this ordinance in case we get into the process and it costs a little bit more and we need to use some of the, we budgeted a certain amount, but we need to go back to reimburse ourselves a little bit out of the purchase price we already did. But we only have 60 days after we purchase the property to pass this resolution. Then we have up to 18 months to reimburse ourselves if we need to.
now, you've said to reimburse yourselves, and I think the mayor alluded to that too. Explain to me how we get reimbursed.
Through the bond. So when we issue the bond, because later in the year, we're going to have to issue a bond to do the renovations, because we're not going to have the kind of monies. The bond payment would come out of the levy fund, which is what they initially planned to do when they passed this, passed the levy, the fire, for the new fire station.
Okay, so
Annually, we would have a bond payment that would come out of the levy fund.
correct. So I don't understand the we get reimbursed.
Means we would get money out of the bond. So when we issued bond, part of that money would be set aside back to the reimbursement of that property, and then the rest of it would be used to make the payments to the management company that is doing the renovations, electric companies and whoever else is doing the renovations. They call it a reimbursement. It's not really the best way to do it because it's just the accounting portion of it.
Okay. Now, it's my understanding that the firehouse was purchased from the money from the fire levy.
It is. It was.
So,
But that's also the same fund that would be making the bond payments.
okay,
So we would have that bond that we issue if we decide, and we wouldn't obviously do it this year, if we get into next year, as we're in the process of knowing what the cost is gonna be. The budget is set, once the management company is determined, all the procurement processes have been followed. If it seems that we may need more than what we originally budgeted back into from 2018, we would then use some of that bond money to pay back the levy fund. That would free up another potentially $1 million that we spent.
okay. Now, tell me where I'm looking at this wrong. Because if we bond out $9 million,
That's more than $1 million more than what we anticipated the budget to be
Okay.
back when we started the process.
at 5% interest, we'd be paying $450,000 a year in interest on money that we may or may not need.
Well, we're not going to use it, we're not issuing bonds until later in the year. By the time we determine that, we have to do something now, otherwise we won't be able to go back into this window. We don't have to use it. If we determine we can make it without doing that, obviously we're not going to borrow against the money we already spent and spend more money if we don't need to.
So you being the budget director, what do you forecast? Do we need it?
I don't know, because I don't know how much it's gonna cost to renovate that building until we get into that part of the process. I don't anticipate it, but I don't wanna be in the position after 60 days and say, oh, I should have done that. It's a safety net. I don't anticipate we need it, but we only have a small window to do it. And based on conversations we've had with Brickler and their finance people, which I have high threshold on because they have worked with me on other projects and other places I've worked. And they said this is probably a good safety net to do just in case.
And are
We
we,
probably won't need it.
and we're not able to bond it out if we get into the project and realize that we didn't budget it correctly.
Yeah, we only have 60 days.
So we have no option to borrow money at that point?
Well, we can borrow money, but we have already have, if we need more than what we anticipate, we're just gonna be
without that.
Mr. Rollins, did you have a question?
Yeah, do we need to waive committee consideration? I would like to make a motion to do that so we can continue to discuss.
I'll second that.
We have a motion to waive consideration, committee consideration, and a second from Mr. Rollins and a second from Mr. Arson.
We need a third on that.
You ready?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Mr. Schauber?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Neff?
So just to clarify for myself, if we were to add this to the agenda, we could have a first reading tonight, and then we can discuss and deliberate, come back on the May 12th, which would be our next full council meeting, I believe.
Correct.
Would
That would be a
we
second.
have to do it then, or
We
would
would
we
have
have
to
to?
do it then, because we wouldn't, that's why we wanted to bring it as soon as possible, that way
Right.
there is a potential of there being a second.
Simply because
And
we're
that
on
we
the
can digest it.
finance committee. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Rollins?
Yeah, just a quick, another point of order. This technically should be the first reading, so can we have the reading?
I was just about to, yeah. For the record, this will be Resolution 2025-021. Resolution authorizing the use of a portion of the proceeds of bonds or bond anticipation notes of the city and the estimated principal amount of not to exceed $9 million to be issued for the purpose of constructing, acquiring, furnishing, and equipping a fire station, improving the site thereof, and purchasing and acquiring equipment and apparatuses related thereto, and authorizing and approving related matters and declaring an emergency.
Now, just a small point of order. I believe, and I don't mean to be rough on Jeff tonight, but I believe that the mayor can add something to the agenda.
He did.
But I don't believe he can add something after the agenda is done that's not on the agenda, that I do believe it takes a first, second, and a third from council to do that.
I thought he was able to do it under matters not on the agenda.
I don't, but
If it, I would have no recommendation on that. That is not something that comes up very often, so.
Yes.
It was sent to.
It was sent
It's
to
sent
the
to law
law director for
director.
review prior.
I just think to err on the side of caution, I will be the first. I do think we have to do that.
Second.
I'll be the third.
There you go.
You feel better. Well,
I'm just, I never,
Do I have to read it again?
Sure.
If you want.
We like to hear you read.
Okay.
Craig has a question.
Oh, sorry. Ms. Gregg?
I didn't know if we were doing public comment or not on this one. Naomi Craig, 365 Silver Street. Are we even able to get bonds with no bond rating? I think that would be a question.
Yes.
We are able, so are we gonna get horrible interest
Not
rates?
terribly, actually.
But not great either.
Oh, I mean, we're talking like half a point. I mean, it's well within reasonable. And then we can always refund these bonds, A, the rates get better, and then B, our wrong bond rating improves. This would be the next, that's where we would definitely.
So I want to understand, the levy money that we have, we use to purchase the building. And the bonds that we're talking about taking out, putting out, however we want to put it, would be to repairs, upgrades, that, to make it into a fire station, basically.
Correct. Yep,
Okay.
all the renovations that would be required, part of building bays, changing of space.
So all of those will be completed like one phase then, I mean, we're gonna go with one contractor, I get that, and all of that sort of stuff.
Correct, there'll be a lead contractor and then officers underneath that will work under them.
And then we'll like pay them quarterly or something like that.
We will pay them based on work completion and, you know, as.
Like construction ones, basically?
Yep.
Okay. because I was just I understand the 60-day thing, but man, $9 million makes me nervous.
Well-
Especially when we're talking about $1 million over what we're thinking we're gonna need.
Well, we don't know how much it'll be, but we anticipated 8, is what we thought. And with the bonds, we would be making the payments over the next 25 years. I know, it's like buying a house. I mean,
Well, we passed a levy for this, though. I mean, the city
There's
is.
money sitting there, the money, you know, we get the 2 payments a year, and the money in there was directly to pay the bonds and to, for ambulances and equipment. So we obviously we started collecting in 24, we got our payment in 24, payments in 24, payment in 25. That was
We'll get another
cash.
one this year.
We'll get another one in August.
Okay.
So that one we anticipate, you know, we
How
had.
much are those payments? Does it vary?
It varies. The first one's usually larger than the second one, but overall, it's usually about $1.2 million, and we're collecting
And
that.
that first half usually people pay all the property taxes at the beginning of the year. then
And
the second half
also,
is
the first half also has delinquencies from.
Sewer and all that other stuff.
So
Yep.
that one's usually a little bit bigger, just depending on what we get.
Okay, I just guessed, I know all of us kind of winced back there when we heard $9 million with the spending issues that we
Well,
seem to
that's
have.
really why I wanted to remove that extra 27,000, because I'm trying very hard to pull that general fund budget back in line. I mean, I can tell you that I think my budget was 2.3 over, and based on collections right now, I'm anticipating it to be closer to 1.9. Last year, we underspent the general fund budget by $1 million. So if that's the case again this year, then we may be only over by 900,000. That's definitely within reach to get cleaned up and continue moving in the right direction. We have to get our books in order.
If we underspent by $1 million last year, you said $1 million,
Just general fund.
then why did we need the cash and balance? Or investments
Because
at the beginning of the year?
we don't keep all that cash in our regular checking
Right,
account.
right.
It's in multiple
But we
accounts.
spent some of it on past due bills, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, but that's not part of this conversation. So I'm trying to, I mean, that's not me, that I can't answer some of, I'm trying to stay in my lane. But I can tell you that we pulled money ahead by $2 million. We knew we were gonna have to guide the building for a little over $1 million.
When did
And
we
some
pull
of
the
it
$2 million, just out of curiosity?
in March,
Okay, and then
beginning of March.
we were about to have another meeting last week where we were gonna cash.
Yeah, but
another
I'm working on some
800,000.
cash flow stuff with Chelsea, so I'm not quite ready.
Okay.
We are in dire straits, but we do want to do something with that money that's sitting out there, because it's making money in the money market, but it's not making anything in long-term monies right now.
But then we were also told by Ms. McGinnis that we might use some of that money to pay bills.
But that's what we're not sure until we finish the cash flow.
That's
which
the
is
scary
what
part, is
myself-
when we keep saying not sure.
Because I wanted to build the cash flow, because I wasn't here much. I mean, last year was my first year here. So
Well, Mr.
I
Collins-
jumped in and, but again, I'm trying to work on the budget side.
Mr. Collins said that you had made a new cash flow or.
And I'm in the process of it. We
Okay,
separated out the cash flow, general fund versus enterprise.
so that did finally get figured out.
It's not quite finished, but I'm
I'm sure that's
I'm
money.
90% done.
I'm sure that's
I
money.
worked
I
all
couldn't
of
even
last
imagine.
week, so, I have that, and I've shared it with McGinnis.
Okay.
Autumn McGinnis.
So that would be
she can see,
something
so
that the public
we're
could
working
ask for?
together. Yeah, once we get, once it's not finished, it's still in draft
Mm-hmm.
form, so once it's done, and I've checked my numbers, I wanna make sure I give, the public good information. Yes, it will be coming out to the council, so they can review it as well.
Yeah, it's just concerning hearing that we're paying out $9 million worth of debt.
And it probably will be in 2 pieces. We'll take part of it out based on, because we anticipate rates will be better, as well. So so it won't all be at once.
Okay.
And we're working through the process.
Okay, thank you.
Madam President, one thing that I want to make sure that is clarified is the money that's borrowed for the fire station will be paid back with levy funding. So all the money that goes into that levy funding has to be spent on the fire station or fire trucks, and they will make sure that there's enough money in there each and every year to pay whatever their payment is for the bonds that they take out.
That's correct.
So,
Okay. Thank you. So Mr. Ratliff first, and then Mr. Schaub.
Okay, question, I guess I'll ask Chief Dean first.
That's what I was gonna ask.
Because
Give me a list.
I was here with all the discussions when we put the fire on the ballot. Now, can money be used for salaries?
Can it? Yes.
Okay, so here's my fear. I believe that the city's financial position is worse than what we say. And when we say we're going to be able to bond $9 million, which is $1 million more than we believe the project is going to cost, we would have a potential in the next year to 2 years to use the money not to pay cash to buy the building, but now to bond that, pay ourselves back the $1 million we just bought the building with, use that money to pay salaries, and now we owe $9 million. Is what could happen. So my question is, if we think that it could cost $1 million more than we budgeted $8 million, we think it could be $9 million, why isn't the bond for $1 million? Why is it for the entire $9 million?
So it's not. What we're talking about right now is the ability to recoup that $1.2 million that we laid out for the building. The bonds for the rest of the construction project will come later this year. This is just about that $1.2 million right now.
But my question is, why do we need to reimburse ourselves the 1.2?
So this is giving you the option of doing it over the next 18 months, should you need the money. I don't know if you guys remember, you approved the purchase of 2 ambulances. They're due to come in the third quarter of this year. I'm gonna need, I believe we budgeted $644,000 out of this money. When we budgeted that, I don't know if you guys remember, I had a 5-year projection. At that time, we didn't have to put out the $1.2 million. That was based on using the land in front of the hospital. You guys remember this? So obviously things changed. We had to use the cash that we had on hand to purchase this property. When those ambulances come in, like I said, it's supposed to be third quarter. We'll see if they show up or not. If they do, we may need some of this cash on hand to pay for those ambulances. May not be all of it, may just be a small portion of it. We don't know for sure because we get that payment in August. We don't know the exact number that's
Okay,
going to be.
so
Does that make more sense?
Well, here's what's frustrating.
Okay.
Is that I asked the budget director earlier, does she anticipate us needing it? And she said no.
Well, I didn't realize.
We may not have had that conversation. That might be on me, that I maybe needed to make sure that she was aware of that.
Okay. But then you do anticipate us needing it.
Potentially, like I said, I don't know for sure. It depends on how much money comes in August.
And so my question still, if we need the 1.2, why are we going to authorize bonds for 9?
That's not what we're talking about tonight.
It is.
My understanding was that this was, what we're talking about tonight
This
was
is for
just
the
the
project.
1.2.
No, this is the expenditures for the project. This is the entire thing.
But again.
But the reimbursement would only be one.
Right, the reimbursement that we're talking about tonight is just the 1.2. Yes, this does include the full $9 million, which, when we proposed building a fire station on the site in front of the hospital, that the budget then was $9 million for that project without having to purchase land. And that's based on $450 per square foot for a fire station, which is the going average.
Now, I thought we heard tonight the budget was 8 million.
What's that?
I thought we heard tonight the budget was 8.
I believe it was reduced, the overall, or the construction budget was reduced because we had to use $1 million to purchase property.
And because the building is built, so it would be potentially less outlay of cost to renovate versus building from ground zero.
Does that make sense? Am I
I
helping?
mean, yes, but I still say that there is a potential to do exactly what the mayor said can't be done, because what he said is the money will be used, or has to be used, I believe was the wording.
Right, when we passed that levy, we had to use that boilerplate language
Correct.
that came from the state that includes the potential for using salaries. If you remember, when we did that, I asked you guys for an ordinance or a resolution restricting how that money could be spent.
Now,
And that didn't happen.
would you ask us for that still today?
We can't do that. We can't do that.
Not after it's been passed.
I think you can. I think you
I
can
think we
pass
can
a,
too.
pass a, an ordinance saying that it can be used for the capital projects that we talked about. And you could include an emergency clause in there that if, God forbid, we get in a position where we're facing layoffs, that through council and the mayor's office, you guys could approve a change to that to allow it to be used for salaries. But you guys would have to approve it. I think it would be wise.
Mr. Shepherd,
Again, if I can address Chief Dean. So you touched a little bit on your list that you had, your 5-year projection. I think it even went out well beyond that.
I had a 30-year
30 years,
projection, and
yes.
then I had a more kind of, well, a 5-year plan that was more definite.
Right, so, and it sounds like you haven't had a conversation or an in-depth conversation. Okay, so how does borrowing money play into all the other payments we have built into your schedule? Because if you borrow money, you have a payment. How drastically, or will it even affect your 5-year immediate projection?
So, well, this is talking about a grand total of $9 million.
Right.
We can borrow total over the entire project, which is what we projected initially for the cost to build the building in front of the hospital.
Right.
That payment was a little over $547,000 a year.
Okay.
The balance of the money collected from the property tax, which is close to about the same amount, really, it's right around $550,000 a year. We had planned on using that for apparatus and ambulances, and that's all within that plan.
So your original plan had a payment for construction costs, whether it was at a new build or refurb.
Yep.
And it's still projected out fine to where you can buy these at, but right now, it sounds like we're in a cash flow position because of a purchase instead of using free ground.
Yes.
Because if we use the hospital ground, that would open up, I think that would open up that lease, we could have got that for free.
So that doesn't really, that's not accurate. So when we decided to purchase the Rite Aid property, we had a consultant do a study saying if we built this building as it stands today, new, instead of refurbishing what we had, what kind of cost savings are we going to realize, being that the sewer's already done, the utilities, the parking lot, the building, and all we're doing is refurbishing and adding on bays. And the savings was close to $2 million.
Yeah.
1.9 something million dollars. So it's not about whether we purchased ground or land or didn't have to purchase land. We still had to build the building.
Yeah, and that wasn't my
And the building
point.
back then, so I think the 9 million is worst case scenario of what the cost might have been from 4 or 5 years ago when they initially got the estimate to what today's costs are. And we're very early in the process, and we have no idea. Basically, what I've told them is, you have whatever amount you have left in that levy fund after you pay for trucks and your payments every year or whatever that is, whatever you have left is how much we can borrow. So we're not going to borrow more than what they can pay out of that levy fund.
Okay, your last statement is what I was getting at with
That's
Chief
what I was
D.
trying,
Yeah,
it's a long way to get around to
Right.
that point.
Yeah.
Something on this issue? Ms. Gray?
Marion, 365 Silver Street. My concern is that I've heard multiple times that the city is not in good financial shape and that we might be laying off city employees. Now, I don't know how that would roll downhill or who it would hit. I would certainly hope that it wouldn't be firefighters, but it would concern me that we'd be borrowing money to pay salaries, and that we would technically be paying interest to keep people employed if we do this through the bond and we use that money for salaries.
We have no intent to use that.
That's not, it's the levy money, it's not the bond, it's what we were originally, when they passed the levy, they're saying that they couldn't use that money for salaries.
Okay.
Because that was the boilerplate wording that the
Yes.
state required.
So I guess maybe one of my thoughts is that I see the big piece of legislation laying in front of you. Maybe we shouldn't pass these things out at 8:30 at night when people have a dozen questions, because I mean, no one in the public has seen it. But you guys are going to suspend the rules and pass it as an emergency? Now I see some head shaking, so thank you.
I purposely brought it tonight because I knew they would have another.
Okay, I missed that part because
Yes.
there's been the back and forth
No,
between the bonds and the levies and
I get it.
everything else, and it's
I wanted to
$9
have at
million
least as much,
kinda.
I wanted to at least have as much time as we could. I just knew that we didn't have the committee meeting on the 5th. That's why I brought it as the mayor put this on as, I am not on the agenda. We do not need to pass this until the 12th of May.
Will we have a better idea of how much things are going to cost now? Or are we just
12th of
going to go
May.
like the Amex Gold or Black?
Not by the
limitless?
12th of May, unfortunately.
Okay, so we're just
But we're not
asking-
going to borrow and use it unless it came to that, and obviously we would bring something back to council so that they would know that.
So you're asking for authorization to borrow up to $9 million, but if you need to borrow any money, you're going to ask council to do it.
If we have to use that money, we could bring something back so they know that. So at least someone isn't aware of that situation. Thank you. Communication. That's all I'm doing.
I just had a question.
Oh, this one.
Sorry, related to this. And one more on this. Is the main point of the resolution to make sure that the purchase is also an eligible reimbursable thing versus being just the construction? So you got the purchase cost, and so that just gives it that if you find yourself in that position, you can pull that and replenish your levy fund so you have cash to deal with fire apparatus, et cetera. Thank you.
Council? Resolution as a first reading. Any other matters? Hearing none, we'll move on to committees.
Community Trade 365 Silver Street. I think it's worth a conversation about what happened with Mr. Schauber being conspired against to be shut out of executive sessions. Since I wasn't allowed to speak about it, or I'm sorry, executive sessions being held to exclude Mr. Schauber, since we weren't allowed to discuss it last Monday because I got gabbled while I was being yelled at by the audience and accused by Mr. Smith, do you realize that you accused me of a
I'm going
third-degree
to
felony?
have to gavel you again. I
How?
wasn't here Monday, but this sounds like a lot of hearsay.
It happened. Everyone else in the room was here. It happened. And Mr. Prater's nodding, Mr. Ratliff's nodding.
Do you have a question?
Yes, I
for-
do. Well, you know, what? Do I have to have a question when the matter's not on the agenda? Since we weren't allowed to discuss it, since I was gavelled because the audience was yelling at me and accusing me of felonies, which is defamation per se, I think that we should talk about Mr. Schauber. Well, basically the finance chair and the mayor keeping him out of, or conspiring to keep information away from him. It happened, Mrs. Stoneburner, there's a recording of it. Apparently you haven't heard it yet. But there is a recording of the mayor and Mrs. Lang having a conversation during a secret Treasury Investment Board meeting where they're talking about keeping Mr. Schauber out of the loop and not giving him information. And as a resident of this city, no, Mr. Schauber doesn't represent me, but he does represent about 3,000 or 4,000 of my neighbors. And I think everyone should be ashamed. I think that being shouted down and called a bully and being accused of felonies, that's suppressing people's speech. And if you think that being threatened with litigation is bullying, it's not. I sent you all the email. The state of Ohio told me to sue you, okay? They sent me the information and told me how to sue you. So if that's a threat, then you need to take that up with the auditor of the state of Ohio. But when you have an administration and a legislation that will do nothing, all that we are left with is the judicial system to help us. So that's where we will be. And Mr. Smith, you can count on giving a deposition in this hearing now. Thank you.
ORC 2921.03.
And you just publicly defamed me again.
Mr. President,
Ms. Brad.
just to even, I guess, make a comment on that, and I think, you know, maybe we all say things we wish we wouldn't have said, or we all say things that we shouldn't sometimes, and I'm just as guilty as anybody else, I'm sure. And I think when any of us heard that recording, that shouldn't have been said. And when any of us heard that recording, it's bad. It is. And we should not ever exclude elected officials from meetings or executive sessions or anything like that. And, and I'm coming from a position that a few years ago, there was actually a vote on this council to kick me out of the meeting. And that vote went 4-5. And if one person would have voted the other way, the president at the time ordered me out of the meeting. And then there was a vote of council. And it was all over issues in the auditor's office. And at that point, councilperson Landon, and there were decisions being made already where everybody right before Christmas had received a letter that their jobs were all terminated in the auditor's office. And I thought that was utterly ridiculous. And what I was saying, as the president ordered me out of the meeting, was that decisions are being made that will financially be devastating for this city for years to come. And that was the actual wording of the sentence I was making at the time. And, I wish people would have listened, because that was true. And since I heard the recording, I have talked to the city auditor, who it's my understanding she's the person who schedules the meetings, and have asked that the Treasury Investment Board meet on committee nights. And I think that that is important. I think that the Treasury Investment Board should have better public notice of when those meetings are going to be. I think the Treasury Investment Board should meet on city council nights. We're all here anyway, and I think it's good for council members to hear what's going on, because what we learned in the last committee meeting of finance, Mr. Rollins and I both did not know that $2 million had been cashed out. And, I think we should know, I think you should know when money is being cashed out of investments and being moved to liquid cash. And I think that this council could maybe foreshadow better and make better decisions if we knew what the true financial situation of the city is. And so, just to address what you said, I was equally concerned of that. It shouldn't have been said, and I would hope that if that vote were to ever come before this council, that would not pass. I don't care if you like the person, I don't care if you like what they say, I could care less. They are elected by the people to be here, and to exclude an elected official would be to exclude an entire section of the city's voice. And I just, and it almost happened to me, and, almost happened to the entire second ward for that particular meeting. And that's why I took the steps to call the auditor to try to make sure that something like that would never happen again.
Ann Rich, 332 Ninth Street. My first thing is, I understand, and I don't come here very often, and we've heard the last few weeks about people not being included in meetings. And as a resident of the third ward, I feel like on my behalf of it, one of the residents in his ward, if there is an issue to where you're not being allowed into meetings or things are getting I would expect my councilman to handle that. It would not be on me to handle that for him. So whatever you feel you need to do on this situation, but I feel that that's up to him to do in his position rather than for someone to stand up here and advocate for lawsuits or whatever on his behalf. If he wants to file a lawsuit, then I think he'll file his lawsuit and he'll take care of it. On a separate question I do have on that side is on the third ward is the building across from Garfield, the brick building that's been there for years. It's been a laundromat, it's been a little store, it's been a bar, it's been all kinds of things. Every time I drive by that, the doors are not covered on that. And I know people pull those off, but if to continually go after that person, tell them that they need to make sure that that building is secured. Maybe they'll get tired and sell it, and we could tear it down someday. But being that close to a school, I am concerned for children that may be walking home, that, you know, it's open all the time, and they could be injured. There's been a fire there. I haven't seen those doors boarded up for a long, long time. I'm talking 6, 8 months they've been standing open in the back. So I ask if you would please address that, maybe get it secured. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stuck around here, Telly Haynes, 160 Sharpless Court. Stuck around here tonight because I don't get to make it often. I am the founder of Moms and Dads Network. For those of you who don't know, Moms and Dads Network is a pro se network for parents who just can't afford attorneys. Maybe their children have been taken by CPS. They just need to know, you know, what ordinances to read, what code to check. And I help them along their way, teach them about templates and affidavits. Tonight, I was invited here, reminded to come tonight by Miss Craig. She is fabulous and making sure the community is aware of what time to come and so on and so forth. So I appreciated her giving me that heads up. I think maybe she's right in sticking up for freedom of speech and let's see, the sunshine laws of Ohio, and, you know, making sure that everyone is included in open meetings acts and all these things. I don't think she's out of line for speaking up for Jason here. I don't think she's out of line. I think we all need to stand up for each other. This is, first of all, we the people. These are elected officials who are here to do our bidding, what we want. I was accosted and thrown out of a building that I own. It's part of we the people, because some official thought they could tell me, what are we the people, to leave my building. They really thought they had the power to do that. And they don't, because what happens is people get elected and they overstep. They get big-headed. They forget who they work for, right? And then the people that they work for forget their positions. They forget that, you know, we have to hold you guys accountable. You work for us, right? So that happens, right? But I think what's going on here is I see a lot of childishness. I don't understand it, because this is supposed to be adults handling adult business, you know. And if there's a official who's being locked out or not being, you know, listened to, you know, get around the rules and not let them be a part of it, that needs to stop. I took Dave Hill's course to do the public records and open meetings act here in Marion. So I'm the one everybody calls. And what I do is I go down to the library and I have kids who are getting punished by their parents. They send their kids over to me and I make them read, right? this is what's going on here. I'm a stickler. I make them read. See, this is what you got to do here, right? You want to put you to work, right? So now these kids are doing podcasts and TikToks with public officials, right? Because it's fun to them to see people held accountable. That's how we make it entertaining, at the same time educational, right? So I think what she's doing is she homeschools her kids, and she makes sure people comes up here, and she's gonna make sure that Jason and whoever else that's not being listened to, freedom of speech, is, these issues are addressed, right? This is what I'm invited here for. I'm gonna sit, I'm gonna record, I'm gonna go back tonight, I'm gonna get on Facebook, I'm gonna let the community know what I thought of this city meeting. It's 9 o'clock, I gotta go let my dogs out, I gotta eat. There's a lot of things that are going on. But we have to remember one thing, that this is for the people. That's what this is for. This is for the people. It's not about our own personal little petty stuff that's going on. We gotta set that stuff aside. And if we're truly gonna be this new best town, or what is the logo now, Kim? Love your city, what is the logo? This new thing that's going on?
Strongest town.
Strong town, then let's be a strong town. Let's stop playing the games. Let's stop the unequalness. I know about how it's unequal. It's very unequal here in this town, and it's the history of it. Let's correct all this stuff. We're here for it. Let's be here truly, not just here and say we're here for it, but let's correct it. And I'm gonna hold everybody accountable. So I'm gonna go back to the people, and I'm gonna make sure the people up, we've had first and second read, but we got empty seats here. I'm talk to my network. Why was there empty seats? Why weren't you there? You're gonna complain about something? Don't complain to me about what didn't happen, because I didn't see you sitting up there. I didn't see you sitting up there. If you needed a ride, you could have called me. I have insurance. I go pick people up. See, this is what we're about to start putting forward here in Marion, because we've got to make it, right? We've got to make it change. We've got to make sure that you guys listen to us and what we want, because you work for us ultimately. And this is what our children will respect us for, right? Because if we remain silent, right, we'll get trampled on. We'll get our rights stolen. People will just do what they've been doing, which is not listening to we the people. So, I want to thank Naomi, right? I want to thank all of you, and I want to thank all of you who are here. Let's work together to truly make this a better place. And then we won't have to have the negative commentaries at each other, like we don't like each other. We're supposed to be neighbors in the same town. That doesn't seem too strong to me if we can't cordially agree to disagree. But let's not be petty. We don't have to be petty, because there's too much work that needs to be done. Too much. Trust me, I am still uncovering problems in the city of Marion back from 2010. And I'm talking about children being taken from good parents, right? I'm still uncovering this. This happens with our city, with our police, with our judges, with contracts with the prosecutor. There's problems here, major problems. And we need to work together and stop the nonsense. Because that's the biggest problem, that we as adults can't work together. What do you think the children are looking at us going, yeah, y'all can't do it? What you expect out of the children if the adults can't get it together? We are public officials here. We're the public. Let's work together. And we might really be a strong town, not just in name.
Okay, thank you. Any other matters? All right, move on to committees. Oh, sorry.
Cody Higley, 1201 Township Road 39, Caledonia. I just wanted to congratulate you guys on winning the title of strongest town. I mean, it's something that I think a lot of people were maybe a little bit skeptical going into it, but, you know, it was also impressive to see the community come together. And there has been a lot of positive things going on in Marion. But I do think that something that needs to be stressed when you're looking at moving forward and trying to maintain that motivation to keep people continuing to work toward making your city better is to have that transparency, to have that greater sense of community and working together. So I would highly encourage you, and it's important to those of us that live in the peripheral areas. Marion is where we come to eat, shop, you know, all that kind of stuff, work for a lot of us. So your guys' present and future will impact ours directly. So anything that's going to decrease that transparency and that awareness, highly encourage you to avoid it and take advantage of the momentum that you have going with something positive like being the strongest town. So, thank you.
Okay. All right. Next, committees. Ms. Lang, airports, lands and buildings?
There'll be an airport meeting, lands and building at 6:30 PM to discuss security at City Hall for council, committee, and planning commission meetings.
Okay. Mr. R. Smith, Jobs and Economic Development.
6:35, go over the CDBG block grant.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Neff, legislation codes and regulations?
640, there's two items, the rules of council amendment proposals and also the city charter.
Thank you. Mr. T. Smith?
Nothing at
Municipal
this
Services.
time.
Mr. Ratliff, Public Utilities.
Nothing to call at this time.
Mr. T. Smith, fourth Wednesday, 7 o'clock for
Yes.
your regional plan.
Yes.
Ms. Barr, Streets and Sewers.
Nothing at this time.
Mr. Prater?
Nothing at this
Actually, there's a rezoning.
Rezoning.
Yeah, it's under zoning and annexation,
Yep.
so let's see, what do we got?
45.
6:45, Mr. Prater? And finally, Ms. Lang?
There will be no finance meeting on 5/5. The next finance meeting will be on 5/19. Old business reports, and I believe Clark Schaefer and Hackett will be here to do a presentation at that meeting. And they are the company that we have contracted with to do our 22, 23, and 24 audits, or
Okay.
financial statements.
So that's for the 19th.
Before we adjourn,
Yes.
so is the goal to get someone from ODOT or CSX to come up at the next council meeting? Is that the,
The email chain I was a part of, I assumed somebody was gonna be here today. I know
Okay.
they're scrambling, and it's well worded in those emails that this council's not liking this and
So-
not wanting to do it, so.
what I'm getting at is, are we going to have someone come Monday? Because if we are, let's make that our first item agenda so they don't have the opportunity to leave.
You mean for a council meeting or?
For committee.
Yeah, we talked about this for over 45 minutes of giving more time, so let's be efficient with the time we wasted to go another 2 weeks, and let's
Are you
do
talking-
this right.
Next next full council meeting, right?
In 2 weeks.
Yes, I just want to make sure, yes, they'll be here. I'll make sure they have some exhibit or something to describe exactly what would happen at the intersection and with the lights and all that, so that they can explain all that.
Okay, so Council President, do we need to make a motion to change the order of our agenda? to make sure that that's first.
Did you want to make sure that they?
I will make that motion if that's the procedure you want to follow.
Second.
We have a motion from Mr. Schauber and a second from Mr. Neff.
I'm unsure as to what exactly the motion is.
Just to move that to the first
Move Oil
meeting of the
Street to
evening.
item 1 on the agenda.
Streets and sewers, the meeting number 1 at 6:30.
Well, no, because it's.
No, it would be the next council
No,
meeting.
it's the council.
Oh,
Okay.
Just to move it to number.
see, I don't know what I'm talking
We
about.
don't even know.
You seconded it, that's all I need.
For the full council, because we're expecting ODOT
Right,
to.
yeah, because we can't put it in committee because it's already before council.
What Jason said.
If they're not here, we'll suspend the rules and turn it down.
All right, so we have a motion. And a
call the roll?
second? Yeah, I'll hold on a second. Yeah.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Mr. Schauber?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
That.
Beginning.
You done with it?
Yeah.
Now we are
collection?
adjourned at 9:19.
I just heard that'd be something that was done after.
I did, I got rid of it. Added it to that.